The night before her engagement, she had an affair with her first love. The night before her engagement, Liu Qingyan betrayed the male lead, Su Haochen, and chose to spend a wild night with her first love. When Su Haochen called off the engagement, Liu Qingyan ignored the accusations from everyone and boldly confessed her love to her first love. This was supposed to be her engagement banquet with Su Haochen, yet Liu Qingyan openly declared her love for another man. It was a humiliation for Su Haochen and a blatant insult to the Su family. Everyone was eager to see how Su Haochen would react. As all eyes turned to him, Su Haochen maintained a calm expression and said indifferently, "From today onward, the Liu family must compensate the Su group 120 million each month. If even half a cent is missing, don't blame me, Su Haochen, for being ruthless. And one last thing, may the two lovers live happily ever after." Chapter 1, The Fiancé and the First Love. At the entrance of Tinglan Xian restaurant, a handsome man stood holding a bouquet of flowers, his expression indifferent as he stared at the screen of his phone. On the screen was a message from Liu Qingyan. "Sorry, I'm on the night shift tonight and can't have dinner with you. Let's do it another time." Su Haochen let out a cold chuckle. Working late again. The number of times Liu Qingyan had bailed on him was almost too many to count. But Su Haochen knew very well that the reason she cancelled wasn't because of work. She had flown to a neighboring city earlier that day. Today was her high school reunion, and coincidentally, it was also her first love Su Haochen birthday. Su Haochen, his name matched his sunny demeanor. Back in high school, he had been a charismatic figure, handsome and accomplished, the heartthrob of countless girls. Naturally, Liu Qingyan had been one of them. Unfortunately, Liu Qingyan came from a wealthy family and didn't dare to confess her feelings. When high school ended, their lives drifted apart. As for Su Haochen, he was Liu Qingyan's college classmate. The moment he first saw her, Su Haochen fell hopelessly in love. Despite his persistent pursuit, Liu Qingyan always maintained a lukewarm attitude toward him. Later, when the Liu family's business faced a crisis, Su Haochen defied his own family's objections and personally invested in the Liu group to save them from collapse. To secure a marriage alliance with the Su family, the Liu family forced Liu Qingyan to get engaged to Su Haochen. However, Liu Qingyan's heart still belonged to Su Haochen, and her attitude toward Su Haochen remained cold and indifferent. Su Haochen, on the other hand, continued to be utterly devoted to her. The former campus heartthrob had reduced himself to a lovesick fool for Liu Qingyan. He would go to any lengths to get her what she liked and willingly change anything she disliked, all in the hope of becoming the man she could love. But no matter how much he changed, he could never replace her first love in her heart. Today proved it once again. Years later, it would become even clearer. Liu Qingyan would join forces with Su Haochen to take everything from the Su family, leaving Su Haochen a complete loser. Yes, Su Haochen had been reborn. On this very day years later, he had chosen to end his life, only to be given another chance by the heavens. He vividly remembered that tomorrow would be his engagement banquet with Liu Qingyan. And he could never forget how Liu Qingyan had used his love for her to slowly wrest control of the Su group. Years later, after he had been completely sidelined, Liu Qingyan revealed her true colors. It was only then that Su Haochen learned she had reconnected with Su Haochen long ago. The two of them had secretly plotted to seize everything that belonged to the Su family. The betrayal devastated Su Haochen's parents, causing them to fall ill and pass away. Meanwhile, Su Haochen himself was framed for crimes he didn't commit, forced into a divorce, and left penniless. Instead, he inherited crushing debts. Once the proud heir of a wealthy family, he was now reduced to wandering the streets. Desperate and destitute, Su Haochen found himself standing on the Jiang River Bridge. As he scrolled through his phone, revisiting memories of his time with Liu Qingyan, his heart ached with indescribable pain. How had their seemingly loving relationship come to this? It wasn't until a message from Liu Qingyan came through that Su Haochen finally woke up. The message read, "Su Haochen, let me be honest with you. From the moment we met, I never loved you. If it hadn't been for my family's pressure, I would never have married you. You're the reason I couldn't be with the one I love. I hate you, and that's why I'm destroying you. Yes, from the very beginning, I decided to take everything from you because you took everything from me first. I was the one who manipulated your power, the one who transferred your debts. Even the lies your parents were fed, I arranged all of it. All these years, your so-called love has only made me feel disgusted. Instead of happiness, it's made me sick to my stomach. And on the day I gave birth, the smile on your face made me want to vomit. By the way, the child isn't he even yours? He is Xie Chaoyang's. But now, everything is fine. I'm finally with the one I love. Even in this short time, I've been so much happier than all the years I spent with you. And you? Go to hell. Every word was like a dagger, stabbing straight into his heart. At that moment, Su Haochen finally woke up to the cruel truth: he was nothing more than a pathetic simp, blindly devoted and utterly despised without realizing it. A self-deluded fool, moved only by his own misguided affection. He now understood that everything he had done in the past was one-sided. All his efforts had not only failed to touch her heart but had instead disgusted her. Su Haochen's face turned ashen. At that moment, he truly despaired. Liu Qingyang's text became the final straw that broke him. Without hesitation, Su Haochen jumped. Only when the icy river water engulfed him did he realize one thing. He had spent his entire life trying to be the Xie Chaoyang in Liu Qingyang's heart, but he had forgotten to simply be himself, Su Haochen. Fortunately, the heavens finally showed him mercy and granted him a second chance. This time, Su Haochen would never fall in the same place again. Nor would he let Liu Qingyang lead him by the nose. Mr. Su, are you still keeping your reservation? The restaurant manager's voice pulled Su Haochen out of his thoughts. Yes, of course. No need to wait, just serve the food directly, Su Haochen replied. As the manager watched him walk into the restaurant, he couldn't help but sigh. What an incredible man. If someone spent billions to save my family, I'd serve them loyally for the rest of my life. Su Haochen was undoubtedly a prominent figure in the city. After all, not just anyone could sacrifice billions in the name of love. To say that every girl in the city, except Liu Qingyang, saw Su Haochen as their dream man would not be an exaggeration. If someone like him can be stood up, either she is blind or completely out of her mind, the manager muttered. Meanwhile, Su Haochen finished his meal and left the restaurant, heading back to his villa. Lying in bed, his emotions were a mix of melancholy and determination. Reborn, Su Haochen was no longer the same. He took out his phone, scrolling through his past messages with Liu Qingyang, but now his heart felt nothing. Even when he saw photos of Liu Qingyang and Xie Chaoyang cuddling in their classmates' social media posts, he remained unfazed. The old Su Haochen, the lovesick simp, had died in the icy river that night. Ding dong. Sorry, I'm out of town handling something tonight, so I won't be coming back. I'll see about tomorrow, read a message from Liu Qingyang. Expressionless, Su Haochen closed his phone. In the past, even if Liu Qingyang didn't message him, he would anxiously check his phone every so often, afraid of missing any message from her. But now, it was different. Su Haochen no longer cared where Liu Qingyang was or what she was doing. Why? Because he had already decided to announce the cancellation of their engagement at tomorrow's banquet. Tossing the phone aside, he fell into a deep, untroubled sleep. Chapter 2, A Night of Passion. In a private club in Dongcheng, Liu Qingyang stared at her phone, puzzled. It had been a full half-hour since she sent a message to Su Haochen. Normally, if he took more than 5 minutes to reply, it was already considered slow. She had braced herself for his usual flood of questions, yet what she got instead was silence. The message showed read, but there was no response. This made Liu Qingyang feel annoyed. Frustrated, she sent another message, but this time, it didn't even show as read. Her irritation grew, so she sent a third. Still unread. Liu Qingyang was dumbfounded. Su Haochen, who usually had his phone glued to his hand and replied faster than a top-up notification, was acting completely out of character today. What is going on? As she sat there, confused, her friend Wang Sisu walked over. Qingyang, why do you look so down? Come on, let's sing a song together. I'm not in the mood. You all go ahead. Wang Sisu raised an eyebrow, curious. Not in the mood. Is it because our handsome Xie Chaoyang is too busy drinking with his classmates to pay attention to you? She gestured toward Xie Chaoyang, who was not far away, clinking glasses and laughing with his friends. Looking at his dashing appearance, even Wang Sisi's eyes sparkled a little. Xie Chaoyang is the hottest internet celebrity right now. Women who like him could line up all their way to Mars, she teased before breaking into a mischievous grin. Qingyang, didn't you used to have a huge crush on Xie Chaoyang? He is single now. Why not take this opportunity to spend some quality time with him? Liu Qingyang's cheeks flushed. What nonsense are you talking about? We're just ordinary friends. Yeah, right. Who was it that confessed to Su Haochen at the graduation ceremony? I was young and foolish back then. Stop bringing it up. Liu Qingyan huffed. Wang Sisi smirked. Oh, sure. But just now, when you two were being all touchy-feely, you didn't seem to mind. Liu Qingyang's gaze turned complicated as she looked at the incredibly handsome Su Haochen. Her feelings for him had never changed. Su Haochen probably didn't even know that during his scandalous days, it was Liu Qingyan who had used her connections to clean up his mess. That was just because I lost a dare. Sisi, please stop. I'm practically engaged now. There's no future for me and him. Her eyes dimmed as she spoke. The real reason Liu Qingyan had come to this reunion, despite the effort, was to see her first love one last time before her marriage, away to put a bittersweet end to her youth. What's the matter? Afraid Su Haochen will keep tabs on your private life even before you're married? Wang Sisi joked. Her half-serious comment made Liu Qingyan feel irritable. What Wang Sisi said next, however, caught Liu Qingyan completely off guard. Too late to worry about that. I accidentally posted a photo of us drinking together on my moments and forgot to block Su Haochen. Wang Sisi handed her phone over to Liu Qingyan, who took one look and felt her heart sink. Not only had Su Haochen seen the post, but he had also liked it. That meant he knew she had lied to him about coming to the reunion. Normally, he would have bombarded her with texts by now, but today, there was nothing. It was as if he didn't care at all. Why? What's going on? For the first time, Su Haochen was out of her control. The man who used to respond to her beck and call now chose to ignore her entirely. Don't overthink it, Qingyan, Wang Sisi comforted. You two are about to be married. He's probably just decided to let things slide. In the West, pre-engagement parties like this are totally normal. Normal for others, maybe, but not for Su Haochen. He used to text her every few minutes, even when she was at work dealing with male colleagues. Now? He didn't even bother to reply. This sudden shift left Liu Qingyan, who had always had the upper hand, feeling uneasy. No, she had to figure out what was going on. Standing abruptly, she announced, "Sorry, everyone. I just remembered something I need to take care of. I'll head out first." Her abrupt departure startled the group, and Su Haochen approached her. "Qingyan, it's only 9. Why are you leaving so soon? Didn't you promise to hang out with everyone tonight? I even booked a hotel for us. People can rest whenever they are tired." As Su Haochen drew closer, Liu Qingyan felt a moment of hesitation. If she left tonight, she might never have another chance to connect with Su Haochen. Wang Sisi chimed in, "Exactly. Once you're married, getting together like this will be rare. Plus, Xia's footing the bill. It'd be a waste not to enjoy it." Caught between her curiosity about Su Haochen and her longing for Su Haochen, Liu Qingyan wavered. The alcohol buzz made her body feel weak, and she suddenly stumbled. Su Haochen stepped forward, catching her. "Qingyan, are you okay?" Looking up at Su Haochen's face and inhaling his intoxicating scent, Liu Qingyan's defenses crumbled. I'm fine. Just drank a little too much, feeling dizzy. If you're not feeling well, you shouldn't head back alone. It'd be dangerous. How about I take you to the hotel to rest? Biting her lip, Liu Qingyan hesitated before nodding. And so, Su Haochen escorted her to their hotel. As soon as they entered the room, he pulled her into his arms. Su Haochen, what are you doing?" She tried to push him away, but the moment her hands touched his muscular chest, a jolt of electricity seemed to course through her. Her body went weak. For years, Liu Qingyan had kept her distance from Su Haochen, never allowing any intimacy. But she was still a woman, with desires she could no longer suppress, especially now, with her first love standing before her. "Qingyan, I was a fool to miss my chance with you before. No woman I've met over the years compares to you. Qingyan, I like you." His words melted her resolve, and as he leaned in to kiss her, she found herself succumbing to his advances. Piece by piece, their clothes fell to the floor. Two bare bodies intertwined as they fell onto the bed. Chapter 3, Is he really Su Haochen? The alarm clock rang, and Su Haochen woke up from his sleep. Stretching lazily, he felt completely refreshed. It had been a long time since he slept so soundly, especially after being with Liu Qingyan. You're up. I've made breakfast. Come down and eat, Liu Qingyan said as she entered the bedroom, having returned home early in the morning. Perhaps it was guilt or her conscience kicking in, or maybe she wanted to test him today. Liu Qingyan was unusually warm and attentive. But Su Haochen merely nodded silently, not saying a word. Seeing this, Liu Qingyan started to feel a little uneasy. What with him? Are you upset because I didn't come home last night? No, Su Haochen replied calmly. The calmer he appeared, the more flustered Liu Qingyan felt. Haochen, don't overthink it. They are just old classmates I hadn't seen in years. It was a rare reunion, and I couldn't excuse myself. I lied about working late because I didn't want you to get jealous. It's fine. I understand. Liu Qingyan was starting to panic now. Haochen, did you see Cice's post on our moments? Let me explain, we were playing truth or dare. I lost and had to hug Su Haochen. Don't misunderstand, okay? Millimeter. I know. After responding, Su Haochen went downstairs to have breakfast, leaving Liu Qingyan standing there, staring at his retreating figure, her thoughts in chaos. In the past, if she didn't come home, Su Haochen would interrogate her endlessly. A small gesture of care from her would have moved him to tears. But today, Su Haochen didn't even look her in the eye. Something's wrong. Something's seriously wrong. Liu Qingyan followed him to the dining room. Haochen, are you really not angry? No, I'm not. Eat up. You must be hungry after partying all night. For some reason, Liu Qingyan felt like there was a hidden meaning behind his words. Guilty as she was, she didn't even dare to meet his gaze. I already ate on the way back. These are for you, she said hesitantly. Biting her lip, she changed the topic. By the way, aren't we going to the bridal shop today to try on wedding dresses? I took time off work just for that. Let's go together later. Sure, but I have some work to handle first. I'll meet you there by noon, Su Haochen replied before getting up and leaving for work. Liu Qingyan was left standing in the dining room, muttering to herself. Is he really Su Haochen? Ever since she returned home, he'd been distant, barely sparing her a glance. This isn't he the same Su Haochen who used to chase after her like a puppy? She had even offered to go to the bridal shop together, but he insisted on going to the office first, leaving her to go alone. Liu Qingyan bit her lip, her frustration growing. Meanwhile, at the Su Group headquarters, Su Haochen arrived at his office. Currently, much of his authority within the company had been stripped away. For Liu Qingyang's sake, he had transferred a significant portion of his power to her so she could focus on her career without worry. President Su, his secretary, Yun Ruoshi, called softly, interrupting his thoughts. Come in. President Su, I've prepared everything you asked for yesterday. Please take a look, Yun Ruoshi said as she entered. Good job. Sit down, there's something else I need your help with. Yun Ruoshi nodded and sat across from him gracefully. President Su, no need to be so formal. Just let me know what you need. Ruoshi, here's the thing. At today's engagement banquet, I'll need you to handle something for me. Noon at the bridal shop. Liu Qingyan anxiously glanced at the door. She had been waiting in the bridal shop for 2 hours, yet Su Haochen was nowhere to be seen. In the past, Su Haochen would always arrive early, whether they were shopping or dining. But today, not only was he late, he had kept her waiting for over 2 hours. What's wrong with this guy? Just as Liu Qingyan was feeling frustrated, a familiar figure appeared. It was Su Haochen. For some reason, seeing him finally arrive made Liu Qingyan feel relieved. Normally, if Su Haochen was late, she would fly into a rage and use it as an excuse to make him spend lavishly. But today, guilty as she felt, she didn't get angry. Instead, she walked over with a smile and took his arm. Busy at work? Do you want to rest before trying on the outfits? Su Haochen glanced at her, his expression indifferent. No need. The sooner we're done, the sooner we can go home. All right, I'll listen to you, she replied obediently. Looking at the unusually docile Liu Qingyan, Su Haochen didn't feel happy. Instead, he felt a wave of disgust. It was obvious this woman was hiding something. Any man with common sense could guess what had happened. At that moment, the store manager approached them with a warm smile. Mr. Su, Ms. Liu, shall we begin? Of course. Thank you for your help, Su Haochen replied politely. His smile made Liu Qingyan uncomfortable. Since this morning, he hadn't so much as glanced at her, let alone smiled. But she said nothing, quietly following the manager into the fitting room. As soon as she entered, the sight of several exquisite wedding dresses immediately lifted her spirits. Mr. Su, as per your request, we invited several world-renowned fashion designers to create this wedding dress especially for you. Ms. Liu, you're so lucky. These designers are notoriously hard to hire, yet Mr. Su managed to bring them all together. Liu Qingyang's eyes sparkled as she stared at the extraordinary wedding dress. Her gaze practically turned into heart shapes. It was stunning, absolutely stunning. The wedding dress was like a masterpiece of art, with every detail perfectly aligning with her tastes. You take your time picking, I'll go change, Su Haochen said, releasing Liu Qingyang's hand and heading off with a staff member. The store manager approached Liu Qingyang with a conspiratorial smile. Ms. Liu, let me tell you something, Mr. Su didn't just spend a fortune inviting these master designers. He also pulled countless strings and spent months working on this. Hearing this, Liu Qingyang was momentarily touched. This wasn't just a matter of money, it required immense effort and connections. Su Haochen must have gone through a lot to make it happen. To be honest, if Su Haochen hadn't entered her life first, she might have truly fallen for Su Haochen. Lost in thought, Liu Qingyang let the manager help her put on the meticulously crafted wedding dress. Just then, Su Haochen, now dressed in a sharp suit, walked up to her. In an instant, both of them were stunned by each other's appearance. Su Haochen, already incredibly handsome, was even more dazzling in his suit. What's more, the shift in his demeanor from a submissive yes man to someone exuding authority only added to his allure, sending Liu Qingyang's hormones into overdrive. As for Liu Qingyang, she looked breathtaking. Perhaps not quite a goddess descending to earth, but at least enough to captivate anyone. Even the store manager and staff couldn't help but praise them. The groom is dashing, and the bride is stunning, truly a match made in heaven. Chapter 4, A Wedding for the Ages. The news of Su Haochen and Liu Qingyang's impending engagement quickly spread across the entire West City. They had long been regarded as the perfect couple, a golden boy and a jade girl. After all, Su Haochen's extravagant effort to help the Liu family out of their financial crisis, costing billions, had once made headlines. To many, the idea of these two lovers finally tying the knot was something to look forward to. And now, the day had arrived. The engagement banquet was held at Phoenix Manor, the most prestigious scenic venue in West City. Hosting a wedding here wasn't just a matter of money, it required significant connections. When the announcement broke, people couldn't help but envy Liu Qingyang. Oh my God! If my future husband could marry me at Phoenix Manor, I'd devote myself to him for the rest of my life. Oh, Su Haochen really is the dream man of every girl in West City. Even for just an engagement, he's gone all out. I'm so jealous of that woman. Although it was only an engagement banquet, the guest list was extensive. Nearly every notable figure in West City attended. Su Haochen even invited Liu Qingyang's favorite international superstar to perform, making his love for her abundantly clear. The envy and admiration on the faces of the female guests were evident. Yet, there was one person who stood out from the rest: Su Haochen. Though Su Haochen was an online celebrity, he was a small fry compared to the big names present, nowhere near the same league. In his previous life, Liu Qingyang had tearfully insisted that Su Haochen attend the wedding. Back then, Su Haochen, blinded by love, had zero emotional or intellectual clarity. He granted Liu Qingyang's every request, no matter how unreasonable. Thus, Su Haochen was invited to the engagement banquet. That encounter was what eventually rekindled their old flame. Su Haochen had been a fool once, but this time, he had learned his lesson. He would never make the same mistake again. There were many people and things worth his attention in this world, but Liu Qingyang was no longer among them. However, to execute today's plan, Su Haochen still included Su Haochen on the guest list. After being reborn, Su Haochen had initially given Liu Qingyang a chance. If that night she had returned home honestly instead of deceiving him, he might have chosen to part ways amicably. But Liu Qingyang not only lied to him again, she stayed out all night. Su Haochen had already uncovered everything that happened during that time. It was precisely because of this that his last shred of pity for her had vanished. If she chose betrayal, he would respond in kind. To others, today was a grand engagement banquet. But to Su Haochen, it was a day of reckoning, a day to utterly disgrace Liu Qingyan and Xie Chaoyang. Liu Qingyan would pay the price for her cold-heartedness, and Xie Chaoyang for his shamelessness. Su Haochen was confident that, under his plan, neither of them would ever recover from this blow. Though seething inside, Su Haochen maintained impeccable composure as he greeted guests. Every person who spoke to Su Haochen couldn't help but admire him. Even Liu Qingyang's girlfriends teased her. "Qingyang, I'm so jealous of you. Your fiancé is so handsome, a true heir of a prestigious family. If I had a man like him to dote on me, my life would be complete." Hearing their compliments, Liu Qingyang felt momentarily dazed. Yes, Su Haochen was perfect in every way except that he wasn't either one in her heart. Especially after that wild night, Xie Chaoyang's face had become clearer in her mind. Although she felt a twinge of guilt toward Su Haochen, his constant displays of affection only made her feel more uncomfortable. Her sense of guilt had only deepened after that night of passion with Xie Chaoyang. Lost in thought, she was suddenly brought back by a familiar song. It was her favorite singer, Adam Lambert. "Wow, Qingyang, look. It's Adam Lambert. A Grammy-winning legend. Oh my god, your fiancé is amazing, he even invited him to perform." Liu Qingyang was thrilled. She hadn't known about this beforehand. Though excited, a trace of regret lingered in her heart. If only it were Xie Chaoyang who had invited Adam Lambert. If only it were Xie Chaoyang who would one day place the ring on her finger. Watching her idol on stage, Liu Qingyang's emotions were a tangled mess. She found herself unable to breathe. In this moment, all she wanted was for Xie Chaoyang to appear. As Adam Lambert finished his performance, the crowd erupted into applause, mesmerized by his powerful voice. Everyone except Liu Qingyang, whose mind was consumed with Xie Chaoyang. She stole a glance at Su Haochen, feeling even more conflicted. Though she didn't love him, she knew he loved Chinese music, especially songs by J.J. Lin and Jay Chou. With the Su family's resources, inviting those stars would have been effortless. Yet, Su Haochen didn't. Instead, every detail of the event was tailored to her preferences. Su Haochen had sacrificed so much for her. Even Liu Qingyang, as cold-hearted as she was, had to acknowledge this. But acknowledgement didn't equal love. In Liu Qingyang's mind, loving or not loving someone was entirely her choice. Lost in her thoughts, another song began to play. Though not as polished as Adam Lambert's performance, their voice was unmistakable. It was Xie Chaoyang. Liu Qingyang froze, staring at the stage in disbelief. She never expected Xie Chaoyang to be one of the performers today. In that instant, Adam Lambert, Su Haochen, and everyone else faded from her mind. She stared at Xie Chaoyang with the adoration of a smitten fan. Xie Chaoyang's gaze also fell on Liu Qingyang. At that moment, it felt as though the engagement banquet was for the two of them alone. While the guests remained oblivious, Su Haochen saw everything clearly. A cold smile appeared on his face as he gestured to Yun Ruoshi by his side. "It's time. Go prepare," he whispered. Yun Ruoshi nodded and left the venue. As Xie Chaoyang finished his song, Liu Qingyang reluctantly watched him leave the stage. Her inner turmoil only deepened. Why? Why must I marry someone I don't love? No matter how bitter she felt, she couldn't let it show in front of the crowd. Under the MC's call, Liu Qingyang and Su Haochen stepped onto the stage. The engagement ceremony had officially begun. Chapter 5, The Cost. As Su Haochen and Liu Qingyang stepped onto the stage, the host began with polite pleasantries. Then, the large screen behind them started playing a montage of their love story. Scenes of Su Haochen's years of dedication to Liu Qingyang played out, leaving the audience captivated. The moment Su Haochen invested billions to save the Liu family from crisis resurfaced in everyone's memory. For Liu Qingyang, Su Haochen had earned a chef's certification despite never cooking before. He even trained as a nutritionist to ensure her meals were well balanced. He learned to sing foreign songs just so he could perform Liu Qingyang's favorite melody at her birthday party. Handbags, clothes, even cars and houses, anything Liu Qingyang desired, Su Haochen fulfilled without hesitation. Even Liu Qingyang's close friends, who had known her for years, couldn't help but be moved by the depth of Su Haochen's love. A man willing to go to such lengths for the woman he loves, how rare is that in this world? They whispered. Applause thundered across the venue as envious looks filled the faces of young women in the crowd. What a perfect man, handsome, wealthy, and deeply devoted. What kind of good karma from a past life would one need to deserve this kind of love? The atmosphere brimmed with blessings for the couple. However, there was one exception. Xia Chaoyang, standing among the guests, wore a bitter expression of jealousy. HMPH, what is there to brag about? If you weren't born with a silver spoon in your mouth, you think anyone would fawn over you? So what if you have money and status? Your woman still ended up in my bed. Recalling the events of that night, Xia Chaoyang felt a sense of smug satisfaction. Liu Qingyan was wild in bed. Honestly, I don't know how Su Haochen managed to restrain himself all this time. As he reveled in his memories, the engagement party reached its peak, with guests preparing to toast the happy couple. But at that moment, Yun Ruoshi, hidden behind the scenes, pressed a button on the control panel. The screen abruptly changed, displaying a video of two naked figures entangled together. Unlike the earlier montage, this footage was slightly blurry. However, it was clear enough for everyone to recognize one of the figures. It was none other than today's bride-to-be, Liu Qingyan. And the man? He was soon identified by sharp-eyed attendees. Wait, isn't he that the guy who performed earlier? What is his name? Xia something. Xia Chaoyang. As the identities of the two figures became clear, the entire venue erupted into chaos. Whoa, what is going on? How did those two end up together? What is Liu Qingyan thinking? Xia Chaoyang might be handsome, but how could he possibly compare to Su Haochen? He is just a cheap internet celebrity. How does he measure up to our Prince Charming? Before anyone could recover from the shock, those smitten with Su Haochen had already banded together. This is disgusting. Destroying someone else's relationship, how shameless. Blacklist them both. Trash like this, doesn't he deserve public platforms? And Liu Qingyan? She must be blind. If you don't want Su Haochen, give him to me. On stage, Liu Qingyan and Xia Chaoyang were frozen in shock. The guests' scathing accusations left them utterly speechless. Meanwhile, Su Haochen stood calmly, taking it all in with an icy smile. Liu Qingyang's parents, however, were trembling with rage, their faces flushed. They had warned Liu Qingyan countless times to cut ties with Xia Chaoyang. Yet despite their warnings, she had done something so disgraceful behind their backs. Liu Qingyan, look at what you've done. You've humiliated us. Liu's mother shouted furiously, slapping her across the face. The sharp slap snapped Liu Qingyan out of her daze, unleashing years of pent-up frustration. Humiliated you? Isn't this the result of your own doing? She retorted coldly. You forced me to marry a man I don't love. You meddled, ruining my relationship with Xia Chaoyang. Years ago, you destroyed my life. Fueled by her mother's slap and the alcohol she had consumed earlier, Liu Qingyan grabbed the microphone from the host and spoke words that left everyone stunned. Yes, it's me in the video. And I've loved Xia Chaoyang for years. She declared. I know I can't defy my parents' wishes and must marry a man I don't love. So before this engagement, I gave myself to Xia Chaoyang. I don't regret it because I love him. Xia Chaoyang, if you love me, if you're a man, step up and propose to me. I'll go with you. Her words exploded like a bomb, leaving the guests gaping. Eyes darted toward Su Haochen, the man whose engagement party had just been hijacked by his fiancée's declaration of love for another man. What would Su Haochen do? Liu Qingyang's parents, too shocked to speak, turned desperately to Su Haochen for response. Liu's mother grabbed his arm, pleading. Please, Haochen. There must be some misunderstanding. But Su Haochen gently pulled his arm away. Before anyone could react, he spoke into the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the scene you've witnessed today. I sincerely thank you for attending this event. As for my fiancée's comments, I respect her honesty and her freedom to love whomever she chooses. His calm demeanor stunned everyone, including Liu Qingyan. What? Wasn't he angry? People often say that forced relationships aren't sweet, Su Haochen continued. So, I hereby announce the termination of my engagement to Miss Liu. Moreover, the business partnership between the Su and Liu families is now null and void. The 30 billion yuan provided previously will be treated as a loan. Starting today, the Liu family must repay 120 million yuan monthly to the Su group. He paused, his gaze cold as ice. If a single penny is missing, don't blame me for being ruthless. Lastly, I wish the two of you all the happiness you deserve. The room erupted into chaos again. Liu Qingyang's parents collapsed in despair. Without the Su family's support, their business empire would crumble under competitors' attacks. With the added burden of a 1 billion yuan debt, the Liu family was doomed. The Liu family was finished. Chapter 6 Mi Group. Faced with the blow suffered by the family business, Liu Qingyang didn't take it to heart at all. It was just that Su Haochen's determination was beyond her expectations. She thought Su Haochen would choose to forgive her this time, but she didn't expect him to let go in public. Originally, this should have been what Liu Qingyan wanted most. But for some reason, Su Haochen's determination made her feel a little lost. At this time, she really needed someone to rely on. Xia Chaoyang. Liu Qingyan looked at the crowd, but she didn't know when Xia Chaoyang had disappeared. Faced with her confession, Xia Chaoyang actually chose to flee. When she needed to be protected the most, she chose to run away. This hit Liu Qingyan hard, and she squatted on the ground and started crying. Suddenly, Su Haochen's shadow appeared in her mind. If it were normal, as long as she cried, Su Haochen would rush to comfort her. At that time, even if she wanted the moon in the sky, Su Haochen would try his best to pick it for her. So she looked in the direction of Su Haochen. But what she saw was a figure gradually going away. The farce ended just like that, but the punishment of the Liu family was far from over. With the withdrawal of the Su family, the Liu family instantly took on a huge debt. Creditors came to their door every day, and the bank's phone calls never stopped. The Liu family was in a state of panic. Although Liu Qingyang was a business genius, she had no money in her pocket and could not make a single move in the business world. That day, Liu Qingyang sat in the office, dealing with the company's mess with a tired face. Suddenly, a familiar ringtone rang. That was the ringtone she specially customized for Xia Chaoyang. Liu Qingyang hesitated for a moment, but finally picked up the phone. Yang, I swear, it was the person in charge of my company who forced me to leave that day. I wanted to stay, but he wouldn't let me, and had the bodyguards drag me away. Yang, I've ordered a table of your favorite French food at Tinglangshuan restaurant. I'll wait for you tonight. Liu Qingyang clenched her phone. This is the 7th consecutive day that Xia Chaoyang has contacted her. She still can't forget the scene a few days ago when she was alone and criticized by thousands of people. Originally, she hated Xia Chaoyang. But under the stimulation of Xia Chaoyang's sweet words, Liu Qingyan's heart was still loosened. So this time, Liu Qingyang responded. At night, Liu Qingyang, who had dressed up carefully, came to Tinglangshuan. As a result, she didn't see Xia Chaoyang, but met her mortal enemy in the business world. Miss Mina, known as the Rose of West City. Mina, the eldest daughter of the Mi family, a second-rate family that has just risen in West City. Like Liu Qingyang, she showed her talent in the business world at a young age. Before, the Liu family relied on the relationship between Liu Qingyang and Su Haochen, as well as the rich background of the Su family, to firmly rub the Mi family. However, as the Su family withdrew its investment, the Mi group finally launched a counterattack against the Liu group. In just 1 week, the Liu family lost several big orders because of the Mi family. This also made the situation of the Liu family even worse. So the two of them were the kind of people who disliked each other. Today, Mina was obviously dressed up carefully. If Liu Qingyang was the blue enchantress, then Mina was the fiery red rose, and their dressing styles formed a sharp contrast. Hey, isn't this President Liu? Why don't you deal with the mess in the company and think of eating here? I understand. Could it be that the little internet celebrity who was most anxious to collapse? TSK, to be honest, in the pursuit of love, I am really ashamed of myself. I admire you. Listening to Mina's weird words, Liu Qingyan's face was very ugly. In the past, Mina would not dare to fart in front of her. But now, she dared to humiliate her in public. What made Liu Qingyan most upset was that she had no way to refute it. Of course, it was also because she had seen too many words that humiliated her during this period, and she had long been immune to it. Compared with the dirty words on the internet, Mina's words were just a child's play. So Liu Qingyang ignored Mina and walked into the elevator pretending to be calm. Seeing this, Mina followed in. When she came to the elevator, Mina's mouth was not idle. However, this time she was no longer talking about Liu Qingyan's love life, but about business matters. Liu Qingyang, there is something I have to make clear to you. Your Liu group has a very bad reputation recently, so our Mi group's brand has decided to terminate the cooperation. After all, we don't want to bear the name of a slut. You. Liu Qingyan finally couldn't help it. Originally, the Liu family had lost a lot of business to the MI group, and now Mina is adding insult to injury. However, Liu Qingyan was not forgiving. Har har, if you don't want to cooperate, then don't cooperate. Anyway, we have already won the project of Xingyao Group. Xingyao Group is one of the largest companies in the industry. This project is enough to help our Liu family survive this crisis. The cooperation project of Xingyao Group was won by Liu Qingyan personally a year ago. The market value of Xingyao Group has skyrocketed. The cooperation project of 80 million yuan at that time is now worth more than 1 billion. However, after hearing this, Mina was not surprised, but laughed. What are you laughing at? Liu Qingyan frowned. What she hated most was that Mina laughed in front of her. Every time, it was bad. Har har, I laughed at you, Miss Liu, not only for not being able to judge people, but also for having a mediocre vision in doing business. What do you mean? Mina did not answer Liu Qingyan's question, but looked at her mysteriously. Guess who I'm having dinner with today? Liu Qingyan's heart suddenly skipped a beat. Who is it? Su Haochen, the president of Xingyao Group in China. When Liu Qingyan heard the name Su Haochen, her breathing began to become rapid. Su Haochen, the core figure of Xingyao Group, the reason why Xingyao Group's market value soared is closely related to this woman. It stands to reason that this level of existence is not something she and Mina can get in touch with. Liu Qingyan tried many times before, hoping to meet Su Haochen, but all of them fell into the sea. Speaking of which, I have to thank you. If it weren't for you, our MI group would never get such an opportunity in our lifetime. Liu Qingyan was stunned again. What do you mean? Mina looked at Liu Qingyan with a smug look on her face. To tell you the truth, this opportunity should have belonged to your Liu group. It was Su Haochen who gave your Liu family a betrothal gift. As a result, someone was blind and missed the golden son-in-law, and this opportunity fell into the hands of our MI family. Liu Qingyan was shocked. These days, the person who appeared most in her mind was not Su Haochen, but Su Haochen. Those cold words, that cold expression and resolute back. She will never forget them in her life. Okay, I'm leaving first. I wish President Liu and his little lover a smooth date. Chapter 7 Sky High Dinner. Tinglangshuan's revolving restaurant is the highest of the high end. People who go in and out of this place are either wealthy businessmen or dignitaries. It is no exaggeration to say that if you can get some benefits here, you may be able to help the Liu group overcome difficulties. So if you want to go in and out here, you must have a membership card of Tinglangshuan. Originally, as a 13th-tier internet celebrity, Su Haochen was not qualified to enter and exit here. The membership card in his hand was issued by Liu Qingyan. If you want to eat here, the minimum price for a seat is 100,000, not including the meal. The cost of a meal is almost equivalent to the expenses of a well-off family for several years. But even so, there are many people who spend money like water here. After all, who wouldn't be happy to spend hundreds of thousands to negotiate a project worth tens of millions or even hundreds of millions? But Su Haochen is obviously not one of them. Don't look at his glamorous life on the surface, showing a rich man's personality to the outside world. But that's all packaged by the agency. The expensive clothes are rented, the luxury cars are borrowed, and the so-called luxury houses are just tools for pretending. Nothing belongs to him. And his career has just started. Let alone making money, he has invested a lot in his personality. After all, the threshold for being an internet celebrity is very low now, and the competition is very fierce. If you don't invest in the early stage, you can't compete with others at all. Buying traffic, buying hot searches, and creating topics are too common in their circle. Besides, the agency exploits newcomers like him very much. In addition, Su Haochen had little social experience at the time, so he signed a buddy contract. The platform takes a small half, and the agency exploits the other half. From time to time, they deduct the money for various reasons. In the end, only 2 out of 10 of the salary is left. Recently, his career has finally improved, but it was severely hit by Liu Qingyan's sudden confession at the engagement banquet. The income plummeted, and even the boss of the agency began to warn him. This made Su Haochen very depressed. As a last resort, Su Haochen's mind was once again on Liu Qingyan. In order to make Liu Qingyan change her mind, Su Haochen put down his airs and bombarded her, and finally got Liu Qingyan to the appointment today. For this day, Xia Chaoyang spent a lot of money and chose to treat Liu Qingyan to dinner at the revolving restaurant of Tinglangshuan. However, Xia Chaoyang chose a seat in a corner. On the one hand, Xia Chaoyang had no money, and a good seat outside would cost 200,000 or 300,000 yuan, which he could not afford. On the other hand, his reputation was very bad now, and it was easy to be talked about if he sat in a conspicuous place. On this way alone, he didn't know how many passers-by pointed at him. But in order to see Liu Qingyan, he had to hold on. Just then, a beautiful figure appeared, and Liu Qingyan arrived. "Yang, this way." Xia Chaoyang waved to Liu Qingyan. When Liu Qingyan saw where Xia Chaoyang was, she felt uncomfortable. Recalling that Su Haochen often brought her to the revolving restaurant of Tinglangshuan for dinner. Every time, he would reserve the best seat for herself. There, not only can she enjoy the beautiful scenery of the entire West City, but she can also become the focus of the entire restaurant. This greatly satisfied her vanity, as she always liked to show her face in front of the public. On the other hand, Xia Chaoyang actually chose the worst seat in Tinglangshuan. This made Liu Qingyan feel a little unbalanced. What made Liu Qingyan even more depressed was that she was recognized by the guests here as soon as she entered the door. "Look, isn't that Liu Qingyan, who was recently divorced by the Su family? What is she doing here? What else could it be? Look over there, she's dating her lover." TSK, things change. Su Haochen booked the best seat in Tinglangshuan for her all year round just to please her, but now he can only eat in the corner. It's really funny. But then again, I was there too. This woman has a really good figure, especially the pair of breasts, so bouncy. The discussions of the people around her were like needles, piercing Liu Qingyan's heart. And all this humiliation was brought to her by Xia Chaoyang. At this moment, Liu Qingyan even wanted to leave. She really couldn't sit in that broken seat. But looking at Xia Chaoyang's face, Liu Qingyan finally softened her heart. So she sat opposite Xia Chaoyang without saying a word. As a result, Xia Chaoyang didn't understand the situation. "Yang, are you okay?" "Nothing." Liu Qingyan waved her hands in annoyance, and her attention was not on Xia Chaoyang at all. Liu Qingyan sat in her seat carelessly, looking towards the elevator from time to time. At this moment, she was thinking about what Mina said before. Whether Su Wanhong would come to the restaurant was a knot in her heart. "Yang, let's order." "You order." Liu Qingyan said absent-mindedly. "I don't know what you like to eat, or the French food we agreed on before." Liu Qingyan frowned slightly. If it was Su Haochen, he would have ordered her favorite dishes long ago. "Forget it, I'll do it myself." Liu Qingyan skillfully ordered the dishes she usually liked. Xia Chaoyang's face almost turned green when he saw the menu. Including drinks, Liu Qingyan alone ordered nearly 300,000 dishes. This was because Liu Qingyan had no appetite today, otherwise it would be more. "Sir, what do you need?" Xia Chaoyang's mouth twitched slightly, but in order not to embarrass himself in front of Liu Qingyan, he still ordered a few of the cheapest ones. At this time, Liu Qingyan noticed Xia Chaoyang's expression. The embarrassed look made Liu Qingyan feel even worse. If it were Su Haochen, he would never show such a painful look. "Did I order too much? Otherwise, I'll change a few." Liu Qingyan hoped that Xia Chaoyang would reject her. But who knew that Xia Chaoyang was relieved after hearing this? This made Liu Qingyan's dissatisfaction with Xia Chaoyang even deeper. Xia Chaoyang saw that the atmosphere was not right, so he quickly changed the subject. "Yang, the company has been very busy recently. I see that you look a little haggard. What a joke." Liu Qingyan originally wanted to come here to relax, but she met Mina first, and then she heard that Mina was going to meet Su Wanhong. This Xia Chaoyang is even more unromantic. He insisted on talking about things that she didn't want to hear. "You should tell me what you want to talk to me about," Liu Qingyan asked weakly. "It's about the previous incident. I really didn't mean to leave that day. The person in charge of the company had someone forcibly take me away. Don't mention the past. I was inconsiderate and shouldn't have dragged you into the water at that time." Chapter 8: Xia Chaoyang's True Purpose. Xia Chaoyang was relieved to see that Liu Qingyan was not angry. Then he took the initiative to pour a glass of red wine for Liu Qingyan. Liu Qingyan had been in the business world for so long, and she could tell at a glance that Xia Chaoyang needed help from her. "Tell me, do you need my help in any way?" Seeing Liu Qingyan take the initiative, Xie Chaoyang was secretly delighted. After all, this was the real purpose of Xie Chaoyang's pestering Liu Qingyan. However, in order to get Liu Qingyan to take the bait, Xie Chaoyang acted as if he didn't care. It's nothing. Although my reputation has been damaged, I'm willing to quit this circle for you. Sure enough, Xie Chaoyang's tea talk instantly trapped Liu Qingyan. Xie Chaoyang, things haven't come to this point yet, right? What's more, it's all my fault that you've fallen to this point. Seeing that Liu Qingyan took the bait, Xie Chaoyang once again showed his acting skills. Well, that's true, but you also know how great the competitive pressure is in this industry. A small stain may ruin the entire career, not to mention a third party intervening in such an unspeakable matter. I am now a street rat, everyone is shouting and beating me, even the boss has begun to threaten me to sign a contract to sell my body. Maybe one day I can only rely on selling my body to pay off my debts. Xie Chaoyang's words made Liu Qingyan feel a little guilty. I was not thoughtful at the time and made you like this. If there is anything I can do to make up for it, just ask. This, forget it, you are usually tired enough, don't worry about me. Xie Chaoyang once again retreated to advance. Don't say that, or I'll feel bad. Really? Since you said that, I'll tell you, it's very profitable to bring goods now. Although I'm being criticized by their whole network, I'm still popular, and the traffic is still great. If I can use this wave of popularity to bring goods, maybe I can turn things around. Liu Qingyan nodded. How to do it specifically? Yang, didn't you tell me before that you have cooperation with MI Group? MI's products are good, how about you help me coordinate and let me bring goods for MI? This sentence made Liu Qingyan's mood become irritable again. The Liu family and the MI family have broken up, and we don't have any cooperation now. This. Xie Chaoyang was dumbfounded. This was something he had never expected. He thought a lot before coming here, and the only one who could make him turn things around was Liu Qingyan. But who knew that it was all in vain? He didn't get any work, but instead lost hundreds of thousands. It's a big loss. But Xie Chaoyang didn't give up. It doesn't matter if you can't bring the goods. Otherwise, you can use your connections to get me into a variety show or talent show, such as the popular singing and dancing rap show recently. Sorry, they only want contestants who have practiced for more than 2.5 years, and you are not qualified. Moreover, the Liu family has suffered a serious blow recently, and the friends I usually interact with are basically out of touch now. These days, in order to revive the Liu family, Liu Qingyan almost called every address book. But she was either hung up or perfunctory. Xie Chaoyang was a little anxious when he heard it. No way, can't you help with this little bit? The tone was even a little blaming. This made Liu Qingyan very uncomfortable. Xie Chaoyang still didn't give up. This won't work, that won't work. If it's you, just go find Su Haochen and ask him for help. With his status here, it's easy for him to help me through the difficulties. Liu Qingyan was stunned. Xie Chaoyang actually asked her to ask Su Haochen. You know, a few days ago, I cheated on Su Haochen in front of almost the entire West City. The Su family and the Liu family have reached the point where they are incompatible. But now, Xie Chaoyang actually asked me to go to Su Haochen to ask for mercy and find a job. This is only Xie Chaoyang. If it were someone else, Liu Qingyan would have gone crazy. I can't go to Su Haochen to ask for mercy without discussing this matter. Xie Chaoyang's face turned ugly when he heard this. Yang, you just admitted that it was your speech at the wedding that made me what I am now. Shouldn't you be responsible? Are my efforts over the years going to be wiped out because of your words? Have you ever considered my feelings? Xie Chaoyang's accusation caught Liu Qingyan off guard. Xie Chaoyang chose to leave that day and didn't protect her, which had deeply hurt Liu Qingyan. She thought that Xie Chaoyang came to apologize to her sincerely today. But who knew that he would start to blame himself? Liu Qingyan, do you think you can pretend that nothing happened if you don't say anything? If it weren't for you, I would have received the invitation letter for the Blue Channel talent show. It's because of your words that I am now ruined and my career is ruined. But I still have a chance to turn things around. As long as you help me, I promise to become a popular internet celebrity. I will definitely repay you and be with you. It turns out that he did this for himself. Liu Qingyan's IQ dropped again, and her eyes became softer when she looked at Xie Chaoyang. But Su Haochen won't pay attention to me anymore. How is it possible? He liked you so much before, how could he forget you overnight? As long as you ask him, he will definitely help you. As he said, Xia Chaoyarn held Liu Qingyan's hand. I tell you, today is a good opportunity. When you didn't come, I saw him walking with an old woman. This guy is really pitiful. After leaving you, he actually chose this kind of old woman. Liu Qingyan's heart moved. Old woman? Could it be Su Haochen? Don't say that. The old woman you are talking about is very likely Su Haochen, the president of Xingyao Group in China. More importantly, she is Su Haochen's aunt. Is Xingyao Group powerful? If I can turn things around, I will also build a company and be the boss, and you will be the boss's wife. Liu Qingyan sighed inwardly. Doesn't Xia Chaoyarn usually watch the news? He actually looks down on Xingyao Group so much. You should know that Xingyao Group is now one of the top 50 companies in the world. Companies like Liu's group don't even qualify to be subsidiaries of the other party. Thinking of this, Liu Qingyan couldn't help but think of Su Haochen again. Although Su Haochen is a licking dog in front of her, he is not inferior to herself in business. He is even better than herself in controlling the entire economic market. This is also a rare place in Su Haochen that Liu Qingyan admires. Compared with Xia Chaoyarn, it's simply a world of difference. You can say it in front of me, but don't say it in front of other people, otherwise even I can't save you. Xia Chaoyarn pouted nonchalantly, it's just a broken company, what's so great about it? Chapter 9 Short-sighted People. In order to prevent Xia Chaoyarn from saying the wrong thing, Liu Qingyan could only patiently explain to him. Xingyao Group is one of the top 500 companies in the world. It is rich enough to rival a country anywhere. Its market value has soared in recent years and has entered the top 50. Its market value has long exceeded 1 trillion. Market value of 1 trillion. Xia Chaoyarn almost dropped his jaw in shock. Is it true? Xingyao Group is so rich. Of course. Recently, one of Xingyao Group's projects will be settled in Shichen. I have always wanted to meet her, but I have not succeeded until now. Speaking of this, Liu Qingyan once again remembered what Miner said in the elevator. This matter lingered in her heart like a shadow. If it was really as Miner said, this opportunity to meet Su Haochen should have been hers. If they could really cooperate deeply with Xingyao Group, the Liu family would not only survive this crisis, but might also rise to prominence and become a first-class family in China. At least it would protect the Liu family from worry for several generations. However, there is no regret medicine in the world. Liu Qingyan paid the price for her impulsiveness, and this price was almost the entire Liu family. The only thing to be thankful for was that she finally left Su Haochen and lived the life she had always dreamed of. But is this really what she wants now? Liu Qingyan was confused. Just when Liu Qingyan was thinking about it, Xia Chaoyarn had already walked to Liu Qingyan's side. Yang, there is no time to lose, or let's go over and take a look now. Liu Qingyan came back to her senses. What are you looking at? Of course it's the Su you mentioned, that's Su Haochen's aunt. Didn't you say you always wanted to meet her? This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. On the surface, Xia Chaoyarn seemed to be doing it for Liu Qingyan's good. But in fact, he just wanted to take this opportunity to get to know Su Haochen. Then he would rely on his good looks to stir up trouble. After all, it's not the first time that Xia Chaoyarn has sold his body in exchange for other things, but Liu Qingyan herself doesn't know it. Even if the other party is an old woman, she is an old woman with charm, so Xia Chaoyarn can still do it. If he succeeds, he can get rid of Liu Qingyan. After all, the Liu family is now a crumbling building, and he has to mention I have to find another way out for myself before. Liu Qingyan was stunned. But thinking carefully, what Xia Chaoyarn said was not unreasonable. Since I wanted to see him several times but he didn't respond, why didn't I take the initiative? Although it was a bit presumptuous, it was also a manifestation of persistence. If the other party appreciates me, the Liu family may really be able to make a beautiful comeback. So Liu Qingyan got up and followed Xia Chaoyarn to one of the boxes. However, before they reached the door, they were stopped. Miss Liu, sir, please show me your membership card. Xia Chaoyarn proudly handed his membership card to the other party. The waiter took a look and smiled politely. Sorry, your seat is over there, please go back. Xia Chaoyarn's face sank. What do you mean? I spent money, why are you stopping me? The waiter replied very politely. The front is the high-level VIP area, ordinary members like you are not allowed to enter, it will disturb other guests dining. Xia Chaoyarn is used to showing off. Before, relying on Liu Qingyan, others treated him as a flatterer. When he encountered this kind of thing today, Su Haochen was immediately angry. Liu Qingyan, who was standing aside, looked embarrassed. Chaoyan, stop making trouble. Su Haochen did not understand Liu Qingyan's meaning at all. Yang, don't worry, we are customers, and customers are God. This guy treats God like this, I want to complain to him. Find your manager, quickly. However, the waiter was not scared at all in the face of the irritable Su Haochen, and still had a polite smile on his face. You complain to me, that's your right, I have no right to interfere, but according to the restaurant rules, you really can't go on. As for the manager, I have just notified him, you will come in a moment. Liu Qingyan was speechless. Did Su Haochen get kicked in the head by a donkey? He dared to make trouble here. Chaoyan, let's go back. No, if this matter cannot be resolved, I will not come here to eat in the future. Su Haochen thought he was invincible after spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, and refused to leave no matter what. As Su Haochen made a fuss here, more and more eyes gathered and pointed at the two. At this time, a woman wearing gold-rimmed glasses came over. Sir, I am the restaurant manager Jiang Yuhan. Is there anything I can help you with? Su Haochen looked at Jiang Yuhan and was immediately shocked. It is worthy of being a high-end restaurant. Even a female manager is so beautiful. Su Haochen's eyes made Jiang Yuhan a little unhappy, but she did not show it. Are you the restaurant manager? Su Haochen deliberately shook his hair and said proudly. I want to complain about your hotel staff. I came to eat here, but he came out to stop me. And this person's attitude and skills are slow, and he didn't treat me as a customer at all. Okay, we have received your complaint here. Do you have any other demands? Customers are God. No matter right or wrong, they will take their complaint first. This attitude made Su Haochen float up instantly. See, you have to be tough when dealing with such a lowly existence, otherwise they don't know that they are just low-level people serving others. Liu Qingyan had a headache. Why did Su Haochen suddenly lose his mind? Demand. Of course, change a private room for me. I want to eat inside. Jiang Yuhan smiled and said, then can I see your membership card? Su Haochen handed it over. After taking a look, Jiang Yuhan smiled and said, I'm sorry, sir, according to the regulations, your membership card level is not enough. The minimum consumption record of our private room must exceed 1 million. If you too want to go in for a meal, you need to spend another 400,000 to upgrade your membership card level. Su Haochen's face changed. What? I just ordered more than 200,000 things, and now you want me to pay? Black shop. Jiang Yuhan said politely, I just want to remind this gentleman that if you want the corresponding service here, you have to pay the corresponding service fee. After all, as you said, we are just a group of low-level people serving others, and we have to be paid for our work. As the noise was going on here, a sarcastic voice came from behind Liu Qingyan. Oh, I really said it, you really came here to meet your little lover privately. Oh, no, you can be open and above board now. But why did I hear that the agency of this little internet celebrity refuted the rumor, saying that you are not together at all? Su Haochen and Liu Qingyan looked at the person behind them at the same time. The fiery red evening dress made the other party look very charming, it was Mina. Su Haochen's eyes were straight. Chapter 10 Who do you think you are? Su Haochen adjusted his expression and resumed his usual gentlemanly demeanor. Hello, beautiful lady. My name is Su Haochen. It's our first meeting. Please give me your guidance. Mina smiled, and the charm she showed instantly made Su Haochen's pupils dilate. This made Liu Qingyan, who was standing aside, feel sour. You don't have to introduce yourself to her. She doesn't deserve to know. Mina chuckled, even if he doesn't introduce himself, I know who he is. After all, you two are now the celebrities in West City. Mina deliberately raised her voice. The onlookers who had been watching the show couldn't help but smile knowingly. You? And how do you manage your man? Your girlfriend is still here. Why do you take the initiative to flirt with the opposite sex? It seems that you are not that important in his heart. I'm not saying anything bad about you, Su Haochen is so good. Infatuated and rich, I really can't see what's good about this little internet celebrity. Mina covered her lips and sneered. Mina, don't go too far. Liu Qingyan's face was very ugly. And Su Haochen didn't care at all, he cared more about the other party's name. Mina, isn't that the name of the eldest lady of the MI family? Are you the general manager of the MI group, the eldest lady of the MI family, Mina? Oh? Do you know me? Mina said in surprise. Yes, of course I know you. Miss Mina is the most famous flower in our West City. I am so honored to meet you. Xia Chaoyang walked up to Mina very enthusiastically. Let me introduce myself again. My name is Xia Chaoyang. I am an anchor with more than 500,000 fans on the internet. I also shoot some short plays on weekdays, so I am considered half an actor. Xia Chaoyang praised himself. In fact, the songs he sang were all simple pop songs, and the so-called short plays were just some short plays that were not presentable. However, Mina did not praise him, but smiled. So you are a big internet celebrity with millions of fans. I am sorry. Xia Chaoyang did not hear the hidden meaning in Mina's words, but became complacent. So Miss Mina knows me, that's good. I have always liked your Majir products. The house I live in is all equipped with Majir smartphones, which are really easy to use. Oh? I didn't realize that you are still a MI fan. Yes, I am a loyal MI fan. Liu Qingyan saw Mina squinting and smiling there, and she had a bad feeling in her heart. Based on her understanding of Mina, this woman must be holding back bad water. So she kept hinting to Xia Chaoyang to shut up. But Xia Chaoyang was now staring at Mina and didn't see it at all. Ms. Mina, you see I have some image, which is very suitable for your MI family's endorsement image. Would you like to consider cooperating with me? I promise that I will make your products a big hit. After hearing this, Mina laughed even louder. The two lumps on her chest were even more turbulent, which made Xia Chaoyang's eyes go straight, and he even laughed foolishly. Your image is indeed good, quite handsome, but a little too young. After all, our young market is saturated, and now we need to focus on relatively mature people. Xia Chaoyang said quickly, it doesn't matter, temperament can be changed, as long as the makeup is appropriate, I can also become mature. No, Mr. Xia misunderstood me. I mean that the image of our Majir products has always been hardcore. Mr. Xia's white-faced look is inconsistent with our product concept. Miss Mina, I am also hardcore. I usually like swimming and fitness. If you don't believe me, look, I still have muscles. As he said, Xia Chaoyang lifted his clothes in public. It would be fine if it was outside. Where is this? Tinglangshuan. There is a sign hanging at the door, no entry for those who are not dressed properly. Xia Chaoyang actually took off his clothes in public, which was really out of place here. On the other hand, Xia Chaoyang didn't notice this at all, and was still there, smugly showing off his proud body to Mina. Only Liu Qingyan knew that Mina was not discussing cooperation with Xia Chaoyang at all. She was playing tricks on this idiot. I hinted so many times, but Xia Chaoyang didn't even react. Too stupid. Is this still the omnipotent Xia Chaoyang in her eyes during her student days? For the first time, Liu Qingyan felt a little strange about Xia Chaoyang. Liu Qingyan's face was livid, and she pulled down Xia Chaoyang's clothes. Don't expose yourself in public. Xia Chaoyang said in confusion, I'm just showing my temperament to Miss Mina. Puff. Mina couldn't help laughing out loud. It's not enough to have a good figure, you have to have talent. Xia Chaoyang said quickly, I have it, I'm good at singing and dancing rap. Mina laughed even louder, then can you play basketball? Yes, Miss Mina, you really have a good eye for talent. Then I'll show you a piece now. As he said that, Xia Chaoyang danced, a striptease in public. Yes, the coquettish look was just like a duck. Liu Qingyan finally couldn't stand it anymore. Xia Chaoyang, that's enough. It seems that President Liu is angry. Mina smiled. Liu Qingyan was full of black lines, and the instructions of the people around her and Mina's ridicule made her very uncomfortable. Chaoyang, let's go. After saying that, Liu Qingyan didn't even care whether Xia Chaoyang followed or not, lowered her head, and walked straight towards the elevator. Suddenly, the elevator opened, and Liu Qingyan almost knocked him down. Excuse me, Su Haochen. Liu Qingyan looked up and her face changed drastically. The one who appeared here was none other than Su Haochen, who had been lingering in Liu Qingyan's heart these days. The Su Haochen who had been extremely humble in front of her now stood in front of her like an iron tower, looking down at her. After not seeing her for a few days, Su Haochen seemed to have changed into a different person. With a resolute expression, he regained the temperament of the rich young master of the Su family after throwing away his burden. The straight suit and resolute eyes made Su Haochen look so dazzling. He looked like a domineering CEO who walked out of a comic book. Su Haochen looked at the couple in front of him without any fluctuations in his expression. He didn't even say a word to Liu Qingyan. This made Liu Qingyan feel even more unbalanced. She had been living like hell these days, but Su Haochen was in such a good state. Just thinking about it, Su Haochen suddenly came forward and hugged her. Then, like a child, he looked at Su Haochen provocatively. If it was before, Liu Qingyan would definitely be very happy. But today, Su Haochen's behavior made her inexplicably irritated. Why is this Su Haochen like a child? The contrast with the mature Su Haochen is too stark. Chapter 11. You chose it, goddess. At this time, Su Haochen didn't notice Liu Qingyan's unhappy expression at all. Hey, isn't this ex-husband brother? You are also here to eat, do you want to share a table? The words were full of ridicule for Su Haochen. However, Su Haochen didn't care at all. In his previous life, Su Haochen had always wanted to be someone like Su Haochen, just to make Liu Qingyan fall in love with him. But in this life, Su Haochen wanted to be himself, and Su Haochen was just a jumping clown in his eyes. He glanced at the corner and said calmly, I, Su Haochen, never eat in that position. You? Su Haochen's face changed, but he didn't dare to get angry in front of Su Haochen. After all, if he wanted to turn over, he might have to rely on Su Haochen. At this time, Mina walked to Su Haochen's side and took Su Haochen's arm in front of Liu Qingyan. She even looked at Liu Qingyan provocatively. Brother Haochen, you're here. That delicate look was completely different from before. This bitch. Liu Qingyan felt very uncomfortable. But what made her most uncomfortable was that Su Haochen never showed any resistance from beginning to end. In the past, Su Haochen only had Liu Qingyan in his heart, and other women were just skeletons in Su Haochen's eyes. Let alone holding hands like now, even if they stood face to face, Su Haochen would keep a certain distance from each other. But now, facing Mina's intimate behavior, Su Haochen actually accepted it calmly. At the same time, the guests in the restaurant also began to talk about it. Wow, this is a real handsome man and beautiful woman, a perfect match. Yes, Miss Mina is not inferior to Liu Qingyan in terms of temperament, and her character is even better. At least she won't cheat on her fiancé. Liu Qingyan clenched her fists, wishing she could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. Once upon a time, all those words of praise belonged to her, and she was treated like a princess wherever she went. But now, she has become a street rat, and everyone is shouting and beating her. And she embarrassed herself in front of Mina, her mortal enemy. Brother Haochen, my aunt is here, why don't we go in and don't let her wait too long? Su Haochen responded, and was led by Mina to the direction of the box. Su Haochen was a little anxious when he saw Su Haochen was leaving. He didn't care about Liu Qingyan's face and hurriedly pulled her clothes. Yang, why are you still standing there? Have you forgotten what you promised me just now? Go stop Su Haochen and beg him for mercy. Liu Qingyan looked at Su Haochen with some resentment, thinking, didn't you deliberately humiliate me just now? Now you are asking for help. Isn't it shameful? But in order to maintain her image, Liu Qingyan could only endure it. But Su Haochen didn't care what Liu Qingyan was thinking at all. Yang, Miss Mina and Su Haochen are my only hope. If I miss this time, I'm finished. You don't want to see me in poverty, right? Without money, how can I support you? Liu Qingyan was stunned for a moment, but her heart softened. So she gritted her teeth, ran forward 2 steps, and planned to catch up with Su Haochen and ask him to help her. But she was stopped by the restaurant manager. Miss Liu, the VIP area is in front, and your membership card cannot enter. Liu Qingyan was a little anxious, so she shouted at the top of her voice, Su Haochen. Finally, Su Haochen stopped, looked back at Liu Qingyan, and then waved to the manager. Let her come over. The manager nodded respectfully and stepped aside. Liu Qingyan didn't say anything, but Su Haochen glared at the manager, as if to say you stop me. The next second. He can't. The manager smiled knowingly, stepped forward, grabbed Su Haochen's collar, and dragged him out. Su Haochen was very angry, but now he had to ask Su Haochen for help, so he could only lower his head and sulk alone. What's the matter? Su Haochen ignored Su Haochen, but looked at Liu Qingyan who walked in front of him. Liu Qingyan took a deep breath, and for the first time showed a pleading look and tone in front of Su Haochen. Haochen, for the sake of our past together, can you do me a favor? That's enough. Our fate ended at the wedding. I think I made it very clear. Go on your own in the future. Don't bother me anymore. Su Haochen said this calmly and waved to the manager. Don't let him disturb my aunt and I while we're having dinner. Yes, Mr. Su, don't worry. Miss Liu, please come this way. Liu Qingyan stood there stupidly. Su Haochen's words were like a basin of cold water poured on her. This was the first time she begged Su Haochen, but she got a ruthless rejection in return. In the past, she would not beg Su Haochen. As long as she looked at something for a few more times, Su Haochen would send it to her in the next second. Seeing this, Mina couldn't help but smile. Liu Qingyan, you have to blame yourself for what happened to you. But I have to thank you for letting go of such a good man. Being with you is really a waste of Brother Haochen. After saying that, Mina took Su Haochen's arm and walked into the box. Liu Qingyan was left standing there in a daze. Yang, Xia Chaoyang came up, but Liu Qingyan interrupted him irritably. Stop talking, let's go. After saying that, Liu Qingyan left without looking back. Only Xia Chaoyang looked in the direction where Su Haochen disappeared unwillingly. In the box, Su Haochen and Mina came in hand. In the box, a beautiful young woman with excellent temperament was looking at Su Haochen with a smile. This person was Su Haochen's aunt Su Wanhong. Hello, aunt. Mina politely walked to Su Wanhong and poured her a cup of tea. Su Wanhong nodded with satisfaction. Mina is a good girl. I am so grateful that she has been with me these days. Otherwise, I would be bored to death. Su Haochen smiled and said, since aunt likes Mina so much, what did you promise me before? Su Wanhong waved her hand. Let's not talk about this for now. It was a mess outside just now. What happened? Mina told the story before Su Haochen. What? She dared to ask Haochen for help. How shameless. Haochen, you have to calm down and don't be bewitched by him again. Su Wanhong was a little worried about Su Haochen's condition. After all, Su Haochen was so obsessed with Liu Qingyan before that he almost gave up the Su group. Don't worry, aunt, she and I are strangers now. What happens to her has nothing to do with me. Su Haochen's determination was somewhat beyond Su Wanhong's expectations. Really? Haochen, you are my nephew. If there is anything, don't hide it from aunt. Su Haochen smiled and said, don't worry, aunt, I have seen through Liu Qingyan, and I also understand that there are still many people in this world who need my protection. I will not do stupid things again. Chapter 12. A brand new Su Haochen. Su Wanhong had not expected Su Haochen's words. Although she had been doing business abroad for these years, she had heard everything Su Haochen had done for Liu Qingyan. She knew her nephew, a pure love-brained man who would even sacrifice his life for love. Being engaged, but being cuckolded by the one you love is not something that most people can bear. But judging from the situation, Su Haochen was much stronger than she thought. It could even be said that he was not affected at all. She had seen countless people and carefully observed Su Haochen for a long time, and finally confirmed that Su Haochen was not joking with her. That's right, I'm very happy that you think so. Besides, you have other girls around you. I think Mina is pretty good. She is sensible and has her own set of ideas about doing business. I have benefited a lot from spending these 2 days with her. Mina blushed and quickly became modest. Aunt, I don't deserve it. Su Wanhong smiled and said, you call me aunt, so why should I be modest? Well, even if Haochen didn't tell me, I have already decided to cooperate with the MI group, but I have a request, the project must be in charge of you. This is not Su Wanhong being polite. In fact, before she came back, she received many cooperation requests. This also included the Liu group where Liu Qingyan worked. Finally, the cooperation letter of intent between Liu Qingyan and Mina was placed on the table. In terms of ability, the two are on par. But in terms of character, Liu Qingyan can't catch up with Mina. Before, Su Wanhong had not made a decision because of the relationship between Su Haochen and Liu Qingyan. But with the fuss at the wedding, Su Wanhong had nothing to hesitate about. Mina's face was happy. This is a great thing. Don't worry, aunt, I will definitely do this project well. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 dishes, the dinner ended in a very harmonious atmosphere. When Su Haochen arrived at the entrance of Tinglangshuan, he was about to send his aunt back to rest, when suddenly a figure appeared in front of him and others. "Miss Mina, wait a minute." Su Haochen looked sideways and found that it was Su Haochen. Mina frowned. "Su Haochen, do you have something to ask me?" Su Haochen rubbed his hands and smiled apologetically. It's the thing we just discussed in the restaurant. Can you give me a chance to try it? If it becomes popular, it will also be good for you." Mina chuckled. "Benefits? What good can it be for our products if I invite a third party to be the spokesperson?" Su Haochen, don't think that you have a pretty face and the whole world will revolve around you. What we value most in the MI family is character and reputation, followed by image. You are far from it. As she said, Mina took Su Haochen's arm. "Brother Haochen, let's send Auntie back to rest." Su Haochen. When Su Haochen saw Mina reject him, his eyes instantly fell on Su Haochen. "I know, Su Haochen, it's you who did it, right? You think I stole your woman, so you hate me and deliberately let Miss Mina give up on me. Do you really think you're great just because you have too stinky money? Are you afraid that I will become popular again, surpass you, and make you lose face? Idiot." Su Haochen didn't even bother to pay attention to Su Haochen, and got into the car directly, leaving Su Haochen alone outside in impotent rage. Liu Qingyan returned home in despair. Thinking back on everything that happened today, the image of Su Haochen and Su Haochen in her heart has changed dramatically. One went from a licking dog to a high-ranking business elite. One went from a perfect white moonlight to a profit-seeking villain. In just a few days, Liu Qingyan felt that the whole world had changed dramatically. She was no longer the little princess who was held in the palm of her hand. Instead, she became a rat in the sewer, and people would point fingers at her wherever she went. At this time, she really missed the shoulder she could rely on at any time. Although he was not the man she liked. But now, there was no one around, and even her parents wanted to break off relations with her. Her usual friends left her for fear of being retaliated by the Su family. She wanted to cry and wanted to find someone to talk to. But looking at the red exclamation marks on the messages, Liu Qingyan could only smile bitterly. Suddenly, the phone rang, and it was Su Haochen calling. "Yes, I still have Su Haochen. I am not alone." Liu Qingyan opened the phone as if she had grabbed a life-saving straw. But the voice from the other end of the phone was not concern or comfort. It was Su Haochen's complaints full of negative emotions. "It's all Su Haochen's fault. If he hadn't interfered, with my image and fame, I would have definitely won the cooperation of the MI group. These capitalists are all the same. They value business and despise farmers. They don't treat us ordinary people as human beings at all." Liu Qingyan was already very irritable, and she was even more troubled when she heard Su Haochen's complaints. It just so happened that Su Haochen didn't have much knowledge, and even his wording was wrong. This made Liu Qingyan, who likes to pursue perfection, even more unbearable. "Yang, you have a wide network of contacts. Otherwise, help me think of a way. Maybe there will be a chance." Liu Qingyan was helpless. "I have told you many times that Liu's group is now in trouble to protect itself. The partners have terminated the cooperation with us a long time ago. Where can I go to endorse you? Then you can't ignore me. This incident was caused by your momentary impulse. I am the victim." Liu Qingyan was very aggrieved. What she needs most now is a shoulder to rely on and words of comfort. In the end, Su Haochen not only did not give him these, but blamed himself. "Haochen, can we not talk about this now?" However, Su Haochen did not notice that Liu Qingyan was in a bad mood. "Yang, if you don't say it now, it will be too late in the future. This is related to my future and your happiness. Didn't I say that if I don't do well, how can I support you in the future? Help me again. As long as Su Haochen lets go, Miss Mina will definitely listen to him. Anyway, it's not the first time we have lied to him. You should put down your airs this time and beg him first, and when things are over, we will live together and no one can control us." Under Su Haochen's empty promises, Liu Qingyan finally softened her heart. So after hesitating for a few minutes, Liu Qingyan tried to send a message to Su Haochen. But 10 minutes passed, and there was no movement on the phone. Liu Qingyan bit her lip and dialed Su Haochen's number. "The number you dialed is in use." 10 minutes later, Liu Qingyan called again. "The number you dialed is powered off." The third time. "The number you dialed is out of service." Liu Qingyan's body trembled. There was only one situation in which a different prompt tone would appear. She was blocked by Su Haochen. Chapter 13 Liu Qingyan who regretted it. Listening to the beeping sound from the other end of the phone, Liu Qingyan couldn't come back to her senses for a long time. She still couldn't believe that Su Haochen would delete her contact information one day. Thinking back to the past, when Su Haochen took the initiative to pursue her, even if she called him drunk in the middle of the night, Su Haochen would answer within a few seconds. There was even one time when she went on a trip with her classmates, but she got drunk in a disco in the middle of the night and couldn't get a car, so she called Su Haochen in a daze. Su Haochen didn't say a word and drove hundreds of miles to pick her up in the middle of the night. Liu Qingyan likes to climb mountains. Su Haochen took her to almost all the famous mountains and rivers in the country. Once, halfway through the climb, they were suddenly hit by a storm, and the two people whose mobile phones ran out of battery were trapped on the mountain for 3 whole days. For 3 days, Su Haochen left almost all of the few food to Liu Qingyan. In the end, Su Haochen almost died of shock. If the rescue team had not arrived in time after the rain, Su Haochen might have left this world long ago. Su Haochen did too many things like this, even the heartless Liu Qingyan could talk about it for 7 days and 7 nights. If Liu Qingyan's parents hadn't forced her to marry Su Haochen, perhaps she would not only not hate Su Haochen, but would admire Su Haochen instead. After all, in this impetuous society, a child of a noble family, a super rich second generation who can be so infatuated, there are not many in the entire Milky Way. Even his own life is not worth it. But such a man who could lose his life for love actually blocked his contact information today. After turning off the phone, grievance and regret surged into her heart almost at the same time. The tears she had held back for a day finally fell. Yes, Liu Qingyan regretted it, regretting her original decision to cheat. But there is no regret medicine in the world, and Liu Qingyan could do nothing but cry here. At this time, Su Haochen's words began to linger in her mind again. Now, she seemed to have no choice but to believe that Su Haochen would take care of herself. So Liu Qingyan gritted her teeth and wiped the tears from her face. It would be her birthday in a few days, and for Su Haochen, she had to find a way to see Su Haochen. Because in Liu Qingyan's view, her birthday was the day that Su Haochen cared about the most. Every time she celebrated her birthday, Su Haochen would make it clear for her, and he would agree to whatever she said. Thinking of this, Liu Qingyan ran to the closet, which was full of clothes bought by Su Haochen. Liu Qingyan had worn every dress in it, except for one. That was the evening dress that Su Haochen had carefully prepared for her. But for Su Haochen, Liu Qingyan changed into the dress that Su Haochen had prepared for her without permission a few days before the wedding. So Liu Qingyan hurriedly took out the dresses that she had never worn. Perhaps only in this way could Su Haochen be reminded of him and recall how he loved her in the past. Liu Qingyan didn't believe that someone who once loved her so much would stop loving her in just one night. Su Haochen must have pretended, just to avenge her cheating. Yes, it must be like this. As long as she didn't put on a repentant look in front of Su Haochen, maybe Su Haochen would forgive her. Just like that, on her birthday, Liu Qingyan came to the gate of Su Group wearing the dress that Su Haochen had prepared for her. She took a deep breath and walked towards the office building. But she was stopped by the security guard after only 2 steps. "Miss Liu, what can I do for you?" Liu Qingyan's face changed slightly. When she came here before, few people even looked up at her, not to mention stopping her. But today, a small security guard actually stopped her. This made Liu Qingyan a little angry. "Since you know who I am, how dare you stop me?" If it was the security guard in the past, he would have retreated in fear. But today, the security guard looked at Liu Qingyan with a firm gaze, and was not scared by her at all. "I'm sorry, Miss Liu, you are no longer on the whitelist. A few days ago, President Su specifically told us that visitors who are not on the whitelist are not allowed to enter. Miss Liu, please go back. Of course, if you can contact President Su and make sure you have an appointment in advance, we can also let you in." Liu Qingyan was very depressed. If she still had Su Haochen's contact information, would she have to go to such great lengths to come here to find him? Just as Liu Qingyan and the security guard were arguing endlessly, a fragrant breeze blew over. Mina made a brilliant appearance. Seeing Mina, the security guards immediately put on a respectful look. "Boss Mi, you are here." As they said that, the security guards did not stop them at all and let Miss Mina go in. This made Liu Qingyan even more upset. "Why can she go in, but I can't?" The security guard smiled and said, "Boss Mi is on the whitelist, so she can come in and out freely." Once upon a time, she, Liu Qingyan, was also on the whitelist. Now things have changed, and Mina has become the host. Hey, isn't this Mr. Liu? What are you doing here? Are you here to plead for your lover? TSK, you are shameless. You cheated on Brother Haochen, and now you want Brother Haochen to help the neighbor Lao Wang? Liu Qingyan, you are a lady from a noble family, where is your face? If I were you, I would have found a crack in the ground to hide in. Let alone pleading with Brother Haochen, I feel my cheeks burning if I say one more word to him. Mina's mouth is so powerful. She didn't say a single dirty word, but she made Liu Qingyan very angry. A group of security guards became spectators, hiding aside and watching the two beauties compete here. One is the boss's ex-girlfriend and the fiancé who almost got married. The other is the opposite sex who is the closest to the boss now. When these two people quarreled, it was so exciting. However, Liu Qingyan was guilty after all, and Mina gained the upper hand in just a few words. It's so boring. I thought you were good at speaking, but you broke down after just a few words. I won't play with you anymore. I have something very important to do with Brother Haochen today. Mina deliberately emphasized the word do, which not only made Liu Qingyan think about it, but also made Liu Qingyan angry. But Mina didn't give Liu Qingyan a chance to fight back, and turned around and disappeared at the door of the office building. In the president's office, Su Haochen was processing the documents in his hand. Although the emotional crisis was temporarily resolved, the real crisis had not actually arrived. Don't look at the fact that Su's group's business is booming now. But there is a huge hidden danger in it. Previously, Su's group invested too much money in real estate. Especially the cooperation project with Hengtai, which is the top priority. But Su Haochen knew that in a short time, Hengtai Group's bubble economy would explode. Not only did all the funds invested by Su's group go down the drain, but it would also be burdened with huge debts. In the previous life, it was because of this crisis that Liu Qingyan seized the opportunity and took away most of the power in Su Haochen's hands. The Su group was also unable to recover because of this. In this life, Su Haochen will certainly not let the tragedy happen again. Chapter 14 Strategic Vision. After that incident, the Su group was unable to recover for a long time. Until the end, Su Haochen realized that all this was Liu Qingyan's doing. Liu Qingyan had discovered the problems of Hengtai Group a long time ago, but had concealed it and had not reported it. Instead, she bewitched Su Haochen and made him join the pirate ship. Now that he has lived a new life, Su Haochen will certainly not let Liu Qingyan manipulate him easily. So he found Yun Ruoshi and asked her to help deal with the withdrawal of investment. Yun Ruoshi expressed doubts about Su Haochen's decision. After all, Hengtai Group is now one of the top 10 companies in the Huaxia region by market value. I don't know how many companies are vying to cooperate with Hengtai Group. Others are begging for investment. When it comes to Hengtai Group, investors have to be selected. Hengtai Group does not even give those who are not strong enough a chance to cooperate. Even for the Su Group, this is an opportunity to take the company to the next level. But Su Haochen actually withdrew his investment at this critical juncture. It is really confusing. What she didn't expect was that Su Haochen actually wanted to use the money originally invested in Hengtai Group to acquire some small companies. These companies were either unknown or newly established, with no strength or fame. Among them was even a company that Yun Shiruor had never expected. Liu Group. Yun Ruoshi really couldn't figure out what Su Haochen was going to do. Boss, I have to remind you that Hengtai Group is a recognized high-quality stock. Liu Group is now under attack from all sides, and its capital chain could break at any time. At this time, withdrawing investment from Hengtai and investing in Liu Group, wouldn't it be a bit? Yun Ruoshi knew that Su Haochen had done everything for Liu Qingyan before. So she subconsciously thought that this time Su Haochen was also helping Liu Qingyan to overcome difficulties. Don't think too much, just do what I say, and the loss will be mine, it has nothing to do with you. Yun Ruoshi sighed. After all, the company is now surnamed Su, so she can only make suggestions at most, and she doesn't even dare to make opinions. It is better for Su Haochen to have full control over the final decision, so that she does not need to take the blame if there is a problem. In addition, Su Haochen has completely changed recently, and the former business genius has shown signs of returning. So out of trust in Su Haochen, Yun Ruoshi still did what Su Haochen said. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door of the office. Come in. The door opened and Mina walked in. Brother Haochen, you must be exhausted after working all day. No, do you need me for something? Mina walked to Su Haochen with a smile. I want to treat you to a meal. Today is my birthday. Do you have time? Su Haochen was stunned for a moment. He clearly remembered that today should also be Liu Qingyan's birthday. Thinking of this, Su Haochen couldn't help but think of all the things he had done for Liu Qingyan. On this day in his previous life, Su Haochen specially booked a whole mountain to take Liu Qingyan to see the sunrise and sunset in order to celebrate her first birthday after getting engaged. But on the eve of her birthday, Liu Qingyan stood him up again. She pretended to go to another place for a meeting, but actually secretly booked a yacht and fooled around on the boat with Su Haochen for 3 whole days. She foolishly waited for Liu Qingyan at the foot of the mountain for a whole night. At that time, she was so stupid and ridiculous. Mina saw that Su Haochen's face was not very good, and thought she had said something wrong. So she restrained her smiling expression and became cautious. Brother Haochen, did I disturb your work? If I said something wrong, tell me and I will apologize to you. Su Haochen came back to his senses. Oh, it's okay, I will attend your birthday party. By the way, where is the birthday party? Mina breathed a sigh of relief and smiled again. Although it's newly opened in Shenyu Villa, the quality is not inferior to Tinglangshuan. I've always wanted to try it. I'll leave it to Brother Haochen for the first time. Mina's words were obviously a bit teasing, but Su Haochen was not in a hurry. Okay, I'll be on time before 7 o'clock in the evening. Well, then I'll wait for Brother Haochen to come. On the other side, Liu Qingyan, who had been frustrated, changed into work clothes and returned to the company. As soon as she entered the door, the shareholders of Liu Group surrounded her. Liu Qingyan, the company is at a time of life and death, and you are still embarrassed to be late. If you hadn't offended the young master of the Su family, the Liu Group would not have fallen to this point. The company's capital chain is about to break, and creditors come to collect debts every day. Haven't you come up with a good solution? Liu Qingyan was originally in a bad mood, and being surrounded and accused by this group of people, Liu Qingyan exploded all of a sudden. How dare you say that? If it weren't for the Su Group's withdrawal of investment, I wouldn't have known that the company was already in tatters. Did you use the company's money to support a model team? No, it should be a third-party team, right? And you play with your broken team every day, spending hundreds of millions of dollars, and you're at the bottom of the league every year. Although Liu Qingyan is just a woman, she was able to control the 2 companies of Su and Liu in her previous life, so she naturally has her own means. These shareholders are usually a group of profit-seeking villains. If she doesn't find some handles on them, Liu Qingyan won't be able to sit in this position. Sure enough, Liu Qingyan's words immediately silenced these old shareholders. Of course, Liu Qingyan didn't dare to offend them too much. If they leave her at this time, then the Liu Group will really be useless. The company is in crisis now. I am as anxious as everyone else, but don't worry, there will be a way. After this crisis, I promise to take Liu's group to the next level. Under Liu Qingyan's deterrence, these old antiques left in disappointment. At this time, the phone rang. It was Su Haochen. When I opened it, it turned out to be Su Haochen dressed as a clown and sending a birthday blessing video. The funny look made Liu Qingyan, who was originally a little irritable, laugh out loud. The haze in my heart was swept away. Yang, you finally laughed, I wish you a happy birthday. Thank you Haochen, you specially sent me birthday wishes. Liu Qingyan felt warm in her heart. Su Haochen, even if there is no birthday blessing from you, it doesn't matter, I have Su Haochen. As long as you are happy. By the way, can you come out now? Okay, but I have some work to do, how about lunch? Oh, no, I have an appointment with a big boss later, so I don't have time. When Liu Qingyan heard this, the happiness that had just appeared disappeared instantly. At first, she thought that Su Haochen was sending her birthday wishes and sweet-talking her to make her happy. It was to invite her out to celebrate her birthday, but she didn't expect Su Haochen to make an appointment with someone else. I was being sentimental. Chapter 15 Enemies Meet on a Narrow Road. Chapter 15 Enemies Meet on a Narrow Road. Su Haochen's words made Liu Qingyan fall into silence again. This made Su Haochen anxious. Yang, why are you suddenly silent? Are you feeling uncomfortable? Liu Qingyan did not answer Su Haochen. She was not only physically tired, but also mentally tired. So she still did not answer Su Haochen. Yang, now is not the time to be upset. Do you know how much effort I put into contacting this big shot? What does your contacting him have to do with me? Liu Qingyan couldn't help her emotions. When Xie Chaoyang heard this, instead of trying to comfort Liu Qingyan, he blamed her. Why has it nothing to do with you? Have you forgotten who made me like this? It's you. But I never blamed you. I don't have as many connections as you, but I'm not idle either. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't beg for mercy today just to meet this big shot. Do you think I'm selfish? Don't you know who I'm doing all this for? Xie Chaoyang's words stunned Liu Qingyan. You did it for me. Nonsense, if it wasn't for you, why would I ask you to come out and meet this big shot? I was also thinking about getting your Liu group out of trouble as soon as possible. But you are not grateful, but you are fierce to me. Xie Chaoyang is indeed the best of the best, and his control of rhetoric is also wonderful. Even a woman with high IQ like Liu Qingyan was fooled by Xie Chaoyang's honeyed mouth and completely lost her reason and thinking ability. This made Liu Qingyan's cheeks a little hot. Chaoyang, you didn't lie to me. Of course, the big shot said that as long as you come out to meet him, he will help Liu Group to overcome this difficulty. Hurry up and change your clothes and come over. Remember, don't come empty-handed. Liu Qingyan was very moved. Thank you, Chaoyang. I misunderstood you. I thought you ignored me during this period because you wanted to break up with me. Oh, silly girl, what nonsense are you talking about? There is no time to talk about this here now. Come quickly, I'll wait for you. By the way, it's best not to come empty-handed, maybe you can get more impression points. Okay, I know. Also, when you come here today, wear something sexy. Remember the sexy underwear I bought for you? Wear it. Liu Qingyan blushed, thinking that this guy was going to celebrate with her after meeting the big shot. She didn't point it out, but agreed shyly. After that crazy night, Liu Qingyan liked this matter of men and women more and more. After hanging up the phone, Liu Qingyan regained her former pride. Su Haochen, what can we do without you? The world is so big, and our Liu group will not go bankrupt without you. I have Xie Chaoyang. He is not as good as you now just because he has no capital. When we get through this difficult time, I believe that our lives will be much better than yours. Without you, I, Liu Qingyan, will live a better life. Thinking of this, Liu Qingyan instructed her subordinates and drove back home. After changing into the sexy underwear that Xie Chaoyang specially prepared for her, Liu Qingyan found a dress that could make the underwear faintly visible. It can be said that the temptation was brought to the extreme. Even Liu Qingyan blushed a little at the hotness. But it was worth it to reward her lover for his busy days. So Liu Qingyan changed her clothes and left home happily, heading straight for the luxury store. Since she was going to meet a big shot, it would definitely not be okay to go empty-handed. And since this big shot was qualified to help the Liu group get through the difficult time, it would definitely not be okay if the gift was too light. So Liu Qingyan came to a luxury store that he used to visit often. He used to come here to buy gifts to please his white moonlight Xie Chaoyang. Seeing Liu Qingyan appear, the clerk was stunned at first, and then pretended to be calm and came to Liu Qingyan. Miss Liu, is there anything I can help you with? Liu Qingyan blushed slightly and handed over her points card. It contained the points she earned after spending here. When the points reach a certain level, you can choose any item here, and the store will give it to you for free. 1,000 yuan is 1 point. If Liu Qingyan remembers correctly, her points here are at least tens of thousands. In other words, her consumption in this store alone has reached a terrifying tens of millions. Normally, 10,000 points can be exchanged for a good gift. Tens of thousands of points can even be exchanged for an entry-level Richard Miller or Patek Philippe. Watches are men's favorite, and Liu Qingyan thinks it's a good gift. Ms. Liu, your points are 79,400. You can choose your products at the counter here. Liu Qingyan nodded and went forward to start choosing. Just at this moment, the female clerk who was serving her suddenly left the counter in a hurry and came to the door with others. Mr. Su, welcome. You're welcome. I'm here to buy gifts. Can you recommend me what gifts are suitable for girls? The female clerk who served Liu Qingyan just now said, Mr. Su, are you buying gifts for Miss Liu? Su Haochen is a frequent visitor here, and the twisted love story between Su Haochen and Liu Qingyan has now become a household name. Plus, today is Liu Qingyan's birthday, and these clerks remember it better than she herself. After all, it is not the first time that Su Haochen has bought things here to celebrate Liu Qingyan's birthday. However, Su Haochen shook his head. She has nothing to do with me now, okay? Help me pick a gift, the best one you have. The shop assistants also knew what was important and what was not, so they quickly took Su Haochen to the counter next to Liu Qingyan. The treasures on display there were all the treasures of the store, and the worst value was 30 million. Su Haochen walked to the counter and didn't even choose. Pick the most expensive one. The most expensive one is this pink diamond, a pure natural pink diamond, without any traces of polishing, and the market value is 160 million. 160 million. Liu Qingyan looked down at the entry-level watch in her hand, which was only worth hundreds of thousands of yuan, and she felt jealous and sad at the same time. If there hadn't been an affair, the pink diamond would have been hers. Wait, today is her birthday, and Su Haochen came here to buy things again, could it be that? Liu Qingyan smiled smugly, subconsciously thinking that Su Haochen was giving her another surprise. So she walked over and pretended not to know and asked, Su Haochen, you are here to buy a birthday present too. Liu Qingyan deliberately emphasized the word birthday. But Su Haochen didn't even pay attention to Liu Qingyan. After transferring the money, he took the gift and left without looking back. Chapter 16 A good horse never turns back. Liu Qingyan looked at Su Haochen's back with a lonely face. At that moment, she actually had the idea of rushing up to stop Su Haochen. She wanted to know what Su Haochen was thinking at this moment. Why did the man who loved her so much become disillusioned with her overnight? But until Su Haochen disappeared, Liu Qingyan did not chase him. She had self-esteem, and she would not allow herself to bow to the dog who licked her once. It doesn't matter, I still have Chaoyang. After meeting the big man introduced by Chaoyang, I will no longer need Su Haochen. Xinyu Villa, a restaurant as famous as Tinglangshuan. If Tinglangshuan focuses on fashion, then Xinyu Villa focuses on leisure. Rather than a restaurant, it is more like a resort. It is surrounded by mountains and rivers and has beautiful scenery. It is a very good place for leisure. Mina came here early. This was her first time to have dinner alone with Su Haochen, so she came here in advance to set up the scene. This young lady who usually has everything she wants, actually did it herself and directed the staff of the villa to set up the scene. Nana, who are you going to entertain today? It's rare to see Miss Mi doing it herself. The villa manager, who was also Mina's good friend, asked curiously. Today is my birthday, so I must set up the scene well. The villa manager was even more confused after hearing Mina's words. Mina didn't look like she was celebrating her birthday, but rather someone else's birthday. And the scene was full of romantic atmosphere. Could it be that? Nana, are you in love? Tell me, who is it? It's not a trivial matter for the eldest lady of the Mi family to fall in love. Mina was about to perfunctorily answer, but suddenly saw a familiar figure from the corner of her eye. I saw Xie Chaoyang and a middle-aged man with a big belly, walking side by side, talking and laughing. It's just that Xie Chaoyang's smile is a little weird. After a closer look, Mina suddenly found that the big-bellied man would put his hand on Xie Chaoyang's butt from time to time. Damn, Xie Chaoyang has this hobby. Mina couldn't help but shiver, and some scenes that were not suitable for children appeared in her mind involuntarily. Goosebumps fell all over the floor. Hiss. Don't look at it if it's indecent, don't look at it if it's indecent. Mina hurriedly dispelled the pictures in her mind, and what happened to them had nothing to do with her. The most important thing was to make Su Haochen happy today. She looked at her watch, and it was not long before the time she agreed with Su Haochen. I'll leave this here to you, I'll go to the bathroom to touch up my makeup. Mina gave a few instructions to her old classmate, and then turned and left. As soon as Mina left, Liu Qingyan walked in from the door. Liu Qingyan had obviously dressed up carefully for the date. And she had strictly followed Xie Chaoyang's instructions and wore a half-hollow dress. The sexy underwear Xie Chaoyang bought for her before was looming and very tempting. No one of the opposite sex in the villa did not look back and take a few more glances. This made Liu Qingyan regain her confidence and walked into the villa. As soon as she entered the door, Liu Qingyan was stunned by the scene in front of her. The exotic romantic atmosphere came to her face, especially the flower path in front of her. Any girl would not like it. Liu Qingyan was no exception. She subconsciously covered her mouth, and tears of emotion rolled in her eyes. So Chaoyang tried every means to get me here to surprise me. This scene is so beautiful. You can tell at a glance that it took a lot of thought and time. I'm sorry, Chaoyang. I misunderstood you. I thought you were selfish and only considered yourself. I was too suspicious. Did you see, Su Haochen? Even if I leave you, someone will still love me. By the way, where is Chaoyang? Liu Qingyan looked around and didn't see Xia Chaoyang, so she called Xia Chaoyang and asked him to come and pick her up. At this time, Xia Chaoyang was dealing with the big boss who kept taking advantage of him. The phone rang, interrupting the intimate actions of the two, which made the big boss very unhappy. Sorry, the person I introduced to you is here. The big boss didn't want Xia Chaoyang to think that he was a petty person, so he pretended to be generous and waved his hand. It's okay, just play. Thank you, boss. Hey, Yang Yang, why haven't you arrived yet? The big boss and I have been waiting for you for a long time. Okay, I know, I'll be there soon. Boss, I'll go out and pick her up. After that, Xia Chaoyang came to the door of the hall. Before Xia Chaoyang had time to speak, Liu Qingyan had already excitedly held his hand. Chaoyang, thank you for everything you have done for me. The decoration is very beautiful. I like it very much. R. No. Nothing, it's nothing. I saw that you were very upset recently, so I decorated it to make you happy. Although Xia Chaoyang didn't know what was going on, he still shamelessly took the credit for himself. Liu Qingyan was very moved, and the whole person directly stuck to Xia Chaoyang. To reward you, I will let you do whatever you want tonight. I have worn your favorite underwear according to your wishes. Do you want to see it? Looking at Liu Qingyan's eyes that had begun to draw lines, Xia Chaoyang couldn't help swallowing his saliva. If there were no more important things to do, Xia Chaoyang really wanted to kill Liu Qingyan on the spot. This woman is so coquettish. This scene was seen by the restaurant manager not far away. How shameless. It was Nana who carefully arranged the scene for others, but this guy actually said that he did it. This woman is also, she is in heat in broad daylight, she is a teddy bear. The restaurant manager looked down on the two people fiercely. If she was not a restaurant employee, she would have gone up to speak up for her good friend. But today is Minar's birthday, so it's better to do less than more, so he gave up. On the other side, although Xia Chaoyang was burning with desire, he still had more important things to do, so he forced himself to hold back the doubts in his heart. Okay, let's not talk about this first. The boss has been waiting for a long time. Let's go in. Yeah. Liu Qingyan took Xia Chaoyang's arm obediently. She felt that she was the happiest woman in the world now. By the way, when you meet the boss later, don't be as domineering as usual. If you consider our future, whatever he says is what it means. Do you hear me? Well, for you, I will. Liu Qingyan's love brain started again, and she looked at Xia Chaoyang with affection. At this moment, Liu Qingyan might not hesitate even if Xia Chaoyang asked her to die. Perhaps Liu Qingyan didn't notice that she was like Su Haochen back then. Chapter 17 Minar's first time. The hotel manager watched the couple leave. While she was complaining in her heart, footsteps sounded at the door again. The hotel manager came back to his senses, sorted out his expression, and looked at the door with a smile. Welcome, Before she finished speaking, she couldn't help but be stunned. In the sun, a man who seemed to have walked out of a comic appeared in the lobby. The flawless face and the slightly melancholy temperament of a noble man stunned her directly. It wasn't until she heard Minar's surprised voice that she came back to her senses. Brother Haochen, you're here. Mina on the other side changed into a different outfit than usual. The cold-tempered strong woman is now going for the girl next door style. Fashionable and elegant, compared to Liu Qingyan just now, they are two extremes. These two people are simply a perfect match. Minar's bestie sighed in her heart, envious and happy for Mina at the same time. Su Haochen looked at the carefully decorated hall and couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. This was not the first time he came to this place, so of course he knew what the original decoration looked like. When did this place become so romantic? He, a grown man, was attracted by the scene in front of him. It was obvious that it was not casually decorated. Whether it was the furnishings or the color matching, it could be described as perfect. Mina blushed and was embarrassed to take credit. The hotel manager saw this and smiled. Mr. Su, this scene was arranged by Mina herself. She came to us a long time ago and said she wanted to surprise someone. Su Haochen looked at Mina in surprise. Did you arrange all this? Mina glanced at her bestie, then nodded with a red face. Brother Haochen, since that incident, I always feel that you have become serious, so I want to make you happy on my birthday. Su Haochen looked at Mina with a sincere face, and his originally calm heart was finally stirred. In fact, he had seen too many such scenes. After all, he did this for Liu Qingyan in his previous life. But this was the first time someone did this for him. This made Su Haochen feel like he didn't know what to do. Because in his previous life, every time Liu Qingyan saw the scene he had carefully arranged, she had never been moved, nor had she thanked or expressed anything. Su Haochen didn't know how to express his gratitude. In the end, it was just 3 words, "Thank you." The atmosphere was a little awkward. The complex expression on Su Haochen's face made Mina a little confused about what he was thinking. Does Brother Haochen like the scene I set up? Will he be angry because I'm too proactive? The more she thought about it, the more confused she became. But the more she didn't speak, the more Su Haochen didn't know what to say. The atmosphere was extremely awkward. Fortunately, their hotel manager was there to help. "Mr. Su, Nana, the box is ready for you, you two can go in now." As she said that, she gently pushed Mina directly into Su Haochen's arms. "Oh, Nana, so you are so anxious to go in with your lover, then I won't stop you, please." "You, what are you talking about? I don't." Mina blushed and hurriedly pulled Su Haochen to step onto the flower path she carefully arranged. When they arrived at the box, Mina's heart was still beating fast. It took a long time to slow down. But when she looked down, she found that she and Su Haochen were still holding hands, and Mina's heart beat rapidly again. She quickly let go of Su Haochen, not daring to look at Su Haochen at all, and didn't know where to put her eyes. That shy and pure look, like a girl next door, made Su Haochen stunned for a moment. "Brother Haochen, is there something dirty on my face?" No." "Then why are you staring at me?" Mina lowered her head, not daring to look directly into Su Haochen's eyes. Su Haochen saw that the situation was not good, so he quickly took out the gift and changed the subject. "This is for you, happy birthday." Mina opened the gift Su Haochen handed over and immediately covered her mouth in surprise. "Brother Haochen, isn't this the only pink diamond in the world? You really want to give it to me?" Su Haochen smiled and said, "Of course, from now on, it's yours. Do you like it?" "I like it." "Brother Haochen, thank you." Mina carefully put away the gift and held it in her palm as if protecting a rare treasure. For Mina, let alone a pink diamond worth over 100 million, even if it was just a stone on the side of the road, she would protect it well. Mina could no longer hold back her excitement, and suddenly stood on tiptoe and kissed Su Haochen on the lips. This was Mina's first kiss. Su Haochen was stunned. This was the first time he felt such a strong emotional feedback after giving someone a gift. In his last life, no matter what kind of surprise he prepared for Liu Qingyan, the most he got in return was a plain thank you. Hand in hand, hug, kiss, these are normal things between lovers. For Su Haochen, they are simply luxury goods. The strong contrast made Su Haochen's heart surge again. Such emotional feedback made Su Haochen feel very comfortable. The awkward atmosphere between the two people gradually became harmonious as Su Haochen's heart softened. Elegant manners, humorous conversation, and careful care. Su Haochen is like a perfect Prince Charming, taking care of Mina meticulously, making Mina feel that everything she did today is worth it. Seeing Mina so happy, Su Haochen couldn't help but smile. But at this moment, Su Haochen turned on his mobile phone and quietly sent a message to Yun Ruoshi. "It's time to start." On the other side, Xia Chaoyang brought Liu Qingyan to the box. As soon as she entered the door, Liu Qingyan felt the hot gaze of the big boss. This made Liu Qingyan very uncomfortable. But Xia Chaoyang seemed to have seen nothing and pushed her in front of the big boss. "Director Feng, this is the Liu Qingyan I told you about." "Yang, this is Director Feng, a well-known domestic director. Whether we can turn things around this time depends entirely on Director Feng." Director Feng smiled slightly and stretched out his salty pig hand. "Hello, Miss Liu, it's really better to meet you in person than to hear about you. You are much more beautiful in person than in the newspaper." As he said, he was about to grab Liu Qingyan's hand and rub it well. The other party's appearance made Liu Qingyan feel nauseous and she subconsciously took a step back. This action made Director Feng's face instantly gloomy. "Xiaoxia, it seems that Miss Liu has something against me. If that's the case, I won't disturb you while you're having dinner." No, Director Feng, she's not against you, it's me, I just made her angry." As he spoke, Xia Chaoyang hurriedly whispered in Liu Qingyan's ear. Yang Yang, it's just a handshake, why are you hiding? What did I tell you just now? This is our only chance to turn things around. Do you still want to be laughed at by that bastard Su Haochen? Chapter 18. You don't deserve it. Su Haochen's words finally made Liu Qingyan put down her inner dignity. Rather than letting Su Haochen, the dog licker, humiliate her, it would be better to let this old bastard in front of her get the advantage. Seeing that Liu Qingyan did not refute, Su Haochen pushed Liu Qingyan forward again. Liu Qingyan was not paying attention and staggered a step, and was directly hugged by Director Feng. A pair of big hands were placed on Liu Qingyan's slender waist without hesitation. Originally, this dress was hollowed out, and Director Feng's big hands directly wandered on Liu Qingyan's exposed skin. The other hand even held Liu Qingyan's hand tightly and kept kneading it. The smile on his face looked so obscene. He, Miss Liu, are you okay? As he said, Director Feng's hand wanted to touch inside along the hollow dress. Liu Qingyan finally couldn't help it. I'm fine. Thank you for your concern, Director Feng. As she said that, Liu Qingyan broke free from Director Feng's restraints and pulled Su Haochen between herself and Director Feng and sat down. This action once again made Director Feng's face look ugly. Su Haochen saw that the situation was not good, and hurriedly took the initiative to pour wine and pick up dishes for Director Feng. Director Feng, let's eat first, otherwise the dishes will be cold. I prepared them for you personally, and they are all your favorites. Under Su Haochen's eloquence, Director Feng's face was relieved a lot. Su Haochen had a smile on his face, but he had already cursed Liu Qingyan in his heart. This stinky bitch almost ruined my good thing. She really has no sense at all. After 3 rounds of wine, Su Haochen took the opportunity of toasting and smiled and leaned into Director Feng's ear. Director Feng, you see Yang Yang and I are here, so the investment we discussed before. Well. Director Feng deliberately prolonged his voice, and his eyes involuntarily glanced at Liu Qingyan. From the moment Liu Qingyan appeared, Director Feng's anger was aroused. This outfit was clearly meant to seduce him. That's why he was so direct just now. Who knew that this bitch would embarrass him, which made Director Feng very unhappy. Doing business depends on the sincerity of both parties. I have definitely given enough sincerity. It's up to you next. As he said, Director Feng crossed his legs and leaned back in the chair, looking up and down at Liu Qingyan's body without any concealment. Liu Qingyan felt uncomfortable being looked at by the other party, so naturally she didn't look very happy. Har, see, Miss Liu just has a problem with me. If I had known this, I shouldn't have come here. But it's true, a billion investment project is really nothing to the Liu family. What, billion? Liu Qingyan's heart was shocked. Before, Liu Qingyan really wouldn't care much about a billion investment project. But now, let alone a billion, even if it was only 100 million, Liu Qingyan would not give up easily. So she hurriedly picked up the wine glass and stood up. Director Feng, I was rude just now, I apologize to you here. Director Feng was indifferent and did not take the wine glass from Liu Qingyan's hand. Forget about the apology, I still hope to see Miss Liu's sincerity. Liu Qingyan hurriedly said, don't worry, after the matter is done, I will definitely give you enough benefits, or you can take 10% of the net profit directly, how about it? Director Feng frowned, wondering why this Liu Qingyan was so uncivilized. Although Su Haochen on the side had no other skills, he was very good at guessing the boss's thoughts. At a glance, he could see what Director Feng wanted. Director Feng, please don't argue with her. I'll punish myself with a glass of wine and apologize to you on her behalf. As he said that, Su Haochen poured a full glass of wine and prepared to drink it. Liu Qingyan mistakenly thought that Su Haochen was defending her, and was very moved, so she grabbed it and drank it all. Director Feng, I'll drink this glass of wine. Please forgive us for our mistakes. As long as you help us once, no matter what you ask, I will agree to it. Har, I have plenty of money. Forget it, this is not a place to talk. If you ask me, let's go to another place and have a deeper exchange. How about it? Liu Qingyan nodded and agreed when she heard that there was a turnaround. Okay, then I'll find a store and we'll sit down and talk in detail. Oh? I've arranged the place, Miss Liu, just follow me. Su Haochen felt very uncomfortable when he saw that Liu Qingyan agreed to the other party so easily. Yang Yang, have you drunk too much? I think we should. Xiaoxiu, I am actually very optimistic that you can enter the entertainment industry. For you, all you need is an opportunity. Do you understand what I mean? You are in a bad situation now. If you make another wrong step, even I can't save you. Su Haochen was stunned. How could he not hear that the other party was threatening him? Although he was reluctant to hand Liu Qingyan over to the other party, after weighing the pros and cons, he chose to remain silent. Just like that, the three of them left the room. As soon as they went out, they ran into Su Haochen and Mina. Why are they? Seeing the two people behaving intimately, Liu Qingyan was jealous. Although she still didn't love Su Haochen, she thought of the man who had once bowed down to her, but now he was talking and laughing with others. That feeling was so awkward. What's more, Mina was her mortal enemy. Oh, it's true that enemies often meet on a narrow road. You are here too. Mina was not surprised by Liu Qingyan's appearance. After all, she had seen Su Haochen hanging out with that old man before. How did these three get together? Could it be that? Mina blushed and began to think wildly again. HMPH, Mina, what are you so proud of? Even if you are looking for a man, you have to find one who understands romance. As she said that, Liu Qingyan took Su Haochen's arm, and then pointed to the flower path in front of her and said, "See, today is not even a special day. Chaoyang prepared all this for me. If I remember correctly, today should also be your birthday. Why didn't someone carefully arrange the venue for you? By the way, someone has arranged scenes for me countless times." Su Haochen straightened up when he heard Liu Qingyan's praise. Who knew that Mina laughed after hearing it? You, what are you laughing at? What are you laughing at? Laughing at you finding a good boyfriend. The two were bickering, and Director Fong on the side suddenly noticed Su Haochen standing next to Mina. If he remembered correctly, the boss of their company had introduced him to Mina at a banquet before. Sir, have we met somewhere before? Su Haochen glanced at Director Fong and said nothing. He knew Director Fong, and his reputation in the circle could be said to be extremely bad. Su Haochen disdained to associate with such a person. Su Haochen's silence made Director Fong a little embarrassed. Seeing that the atmosphere was getting more and more wrong, Mina's bestie arrived in time. Nana, in order to thank you for all the arrangements, Mr. Su specially prepared a birthday fireworks for you. Let's go now. What? The venue was not arranged by you. Liu Qingyan looked at Su Haochen in disbelief. She originally thought that Mina was just deliberately irritating her. But after seeing Su Haochen's embarrassed expression, she understood. You, Liu Qingyan left angrily. Chapter 19, Flowers in the Backyard. Liu Qingyan walked out of the gate of the villa with a heart full of resentment. All the things in the past came to her mind, and tears began to flow. Once upon a time, such a romantic venue was hers. Once upon a time, flowers and blessings were also hers. But now, things have changed, and the person standing next to Su Haochen is no longer herself. Such a romantic scene no longer belongs to her. The regretful heart appeared again, and Liu Qingyan wanted to yell. But just as she opened her mouth, the deafening sound pulled her back to reality. The brilliant light exploded in the sky, and a fireworks feast officially kicked off. Bang bang bang. This firework seemed to be a signal. As the fireworks exploded, brilliant fireworks appeared in every corner of West City. Colorful fireworks exploded in the sky, making the whole West City as bright as day. People walked out of the room and looked at the bright sky with surprise. It turned out that just now, Su Haochen secretly notified Yun Ruoshi and the villa. Let them buy all the fireworks in the city. Then set them off in the safe areas of the city. This dreamlike scene almost attracted the whole West City. People stopped to watch and took up the equipment in their hands to record this rare scene. Mina covered her mouth in disbelief, and the touch in her heart was stronger than the anti-peerless pink diamond she just received. At this moment, Mina felt like the heroine in a fairy tale, receiving the endless love of the hero. The guests of the villa were also stunned by Su Haochen's generosity. Especially the female guests, they held their chests with both hands, looking obsessed. If I meet such a man in the future, I will keep him by my side no matter what. What's that? I am willing to be his lover for life, mistress. As long as I stay by his side, I am willing to bear any infamy. Alas, it's a pity that once such a man falls in love with that woman, he will be devoted to her. We don't have a chance. These words made Director Fong feel a little unhappy. It is indeed a big deal, but it is too wasteful. How many fireworks will be wasted? It's really too much money. I have nothing to do. This sentence immediately aroused public indignation. If you don't have the ability, don't be jealous. Don't take a piss and look at your own virtue. You are not even as good as Su Haochen's sweat hair. Director Feng was directly surrounded by those middle-aged women. After a verbal battle, Director Feng was almost drowned by the spit of these women and could only leave in dissatisfaction. At this time, Liu Qingyan, who was standing stupidly at the gate, felt even worse. She recalled that when she celebrated her birthday, Su Haochen also prepared a fireworks feast for her. But before that day came, she ran off to hang out with Su Haochen. Although she saw the fireworks feast that she didn't see today, the heroine was no longer herself, but Mina. She clenched her fists, and the regret in her heart became stronger and stronger as the fireworks bloomed. At this time, Su Haochen ran over. Yang, why did you run away without saying a word? Liu Qingyan saw Su Haochen and felt annoyed for no reason. She turned around and was about to leave without saying a word, but was stopped by Su Haochen. Su Haochen, I warn you, Before she finished speaking, a shining necklace appeared in front of her. Is this for me? Liu Qingyan's complaints gradually faded. Yes, I know you are in a bad mood, and I also know that Director Feng is a bit lecherous, so I prepared a gift in advance to make you happy, but who knew you would leave without saying a word? Liu Qingyan looked at Su Haochen with complicated eyes. Although she still did not show any action, in fact, Liu Qingyan had forgiven Su Haochen in her heart. After all, he just helped her block the wine and stopped Director Feng from doing dirty things to her. At least these actions proved that she was still in Su Haochen's heart. But looking at the fireworks in the sky, Liu Qingyan thought of the venue that had been carefully decorated just now. It's all Su Haochen's fault. If it weren't for Su Haochen, how could she be touched by a director? If it weren't for Su Haochen, she would not have fallen into such a situation. She even began to suspect that Su Haochen deliberately appeared in front of her and deliberately showed his love with his mortal enemy. The purpose was to make herself uncomfortable. He was torturing me. Liu Qingyan became more and more angry as she thought about it. I'll go first. She glanced at Su Haochen, and she couldn't get over it. No matter what, Su Haochen had deceived her and made her lose face in front of Mina and Su Haochen. Yang, listen to me. However, Liu Qingyan didn't care what Su Haochen said and drove back home. Liu Qingyan, who was in a bad mood, wanted to go home to have some peace and quiet, but as soon as she entered the door, her parents came over as usual. Yang, where have you been fooling around again? Look at you, what are you wearing? You don't know what the company is like, and you still go out to fool around. You really pissed me off. If I were you, you should go back and apologize to Su Haochen, maybe the Su family would let us go. That's right, if you hadn't done those shameful things, our Liu family wouldn't have fallen into such a situation. Facing the accusations of her parents, Liu Qingyan was actually numb. During this period, every time she returned home, she had to undergo a baptism from her parents. Dad, Mom, I won't apologize to Su Haochen. As for the company, I have found a solution, so don't make trouble. We make trouble. Who caused this mess? It's all you and that pretty boy surnamed Xia. I warn you, stay away from that little beast, or I'll kill him. Father Liu wanted to eat Su Haochen alive. Liu Qingyan had a terrible headache and ignored her parents' nagging and returned to her room. After taking a shower, Liu Qingyan felt that it was indeed a bit too much for her to leave without saying goodbye. 1 billion is too important for Liu Group. So she could only suppress the discomfort in her heart and sent a message to Director Feng. But the message fell into the sea and there was no response. Maybe it's too late. Liu Qingyan, who had calmed down, thought of Su Haochen again. She shouldn't have left him. So she hung up the phone on Su Haochen. Hum. Su Haochen's panting sound came from the other end of the phone. Chaoyan, what's wrong with you? Liu Qingyan asked with concern. I'm fine, I'm working out. Su Haochen explained hurriedly. Then you. Are you okay? If you're okay, let's talk tomorrow, I'm hanging up first. After saying that, Su Haochen hung up the phone in a hurry. At this moment, a roar suddenly came from behind Su Haochen. Su Haochen lay on the bed, clutching the quilt tightly, with an expression of pain and happiness. With a tremor, Director Feng slid down from Su Haochen's body, lit a cigarette, and smoked it against the head of the bed. Xia Chaoyang covered his butt and limped towards the bathroom. Chapter 20. Is it okay, little dog? Liu Qingyan tossed and turned in bed, unable to fall asleep. What happened today was too much of a shock to her. She had no place to vent her depressed mood, and she couldn't help but think of Xia Chaoyang. Why are you working out so late at night? Liu Qingyan picked up the phone depressedly and wanted to send a message to Xia Chaoyang. But thinking of what Xia Chaoyang did today, Liu Qingyan couldn't bring herself to do it. I had already called him just now, and if I called again, wouldn't I be lowering my status? In boredom, Liu Qingyan had to open her social forum and plan to read the news to kill time. As a result, when she opened the forum, all the posts were discussing the magnificent fireworks show tonight. It basically didn't stop for an hour, and half of Shicheng was still filled with the smell of gunpowder. Especially the most popular posts, which were almost the gathering place of Su Haochen's fans. The girls inside praised Su Haochen to the sky. Oh my god, if I had a boyfriend like this, even for just one day, I would be willing to exchange my whole life for him. It's so romantic. Yeah, I really don't know why that woman named Liu would cheat on Handsome Su. How can that Xia Chaoyang compare to Handsome Su? She has a hole in her brain, or she was bewitched by that Xia Chaoyang. I heard that Xia Chaoyang has a bad style and was even seen going in and out of the hotel with some men. Originally, Liu Qingyan was stimulated by today's fireworks display. Seeing these, she felt even more depressed. Especially when she saw the information about Xia Chaoyang, she wanted to log in and fight with him several times. But Liu Qingyan was too tired today, and she was tired. So she threw her phone aside with the attitude of out of sight, out of mind. Liu Qingyan lay on the bed with the back of her hand on her forehead, unable to fall asleep for a long time. Su Haochen's shadow was like a nightmare, lingering in her heart. Originally, this fireworks show belonged to her, and the flower path was prepared for her. But all of this disappeared with the fuss at the wedding. She now lives in fear every day, and for the sake of the Liu group, she has to kowtow to an old pervert like Director Feng. Back then, as a senior executive of both the Su group and the Liu group, she was an absolute celebrity in the city. Wherever she went, people would flatter her. But now, she has become a street rat, and everyone is shouting and beating her. The strong sense of disparity made Liu Qingyan very unhappy, and she could only cover her head with a quilt and hypnotize herself constantly. At the same time, in the hotel, Xia Chaoyang came out of the bathroom. Director Feng had also finished smoking at this time. Xiaoxia, you look good, why are you so weak? You can't be exhausted in just a short while, right? I haven't had enough fun today. Director Feng was sticking out his belly, staring at Xia Chaoyang with a lewd smile. Men are most afraid of being told that they are not good enough, and Xia Chaoyang is no exception. So he said stubbornly, who said that? I've been busy running around recently to become popular again, and I'm too tired. Next time, I will satisfy you, Director Feng. How about I bear it for a while, and let's do it again. Director Feng waved his hand impatiently. Stop bragging to me. I know you are weak from your performance just now. I've played with so many men, and I can see that. Xia Chaoyang stood by the bed with an embarrassed look on his face, a little at a loss. It's boring. If I had known this, I would have gone to my former lovers. At least they could serve me comfortably. Look at you. Apart from a decent appearance, what else do you have? Facing Director Feng's ridicule, Xia Chaoyang didn't dare to refute at all. He could only smile awkwardly at Director Feng. But if you want to make me happy, there is more than one way. It depends on how you perform. Xia Chaoyang knew the tricks of this. So he gritted his teeth and crawled to Director Feng's side again, and then buried his head in Director Feng's satisfied eyes. Inside the house, Director Feng's panting sounded again. On the other side, Mina had also returned home. Looking at the pink diamond on the dressing table, Mina's excitement still couldn't dissipate for a long time. Women like beautiful things, especially those with the 3 words, limited edition. Only unique can completely satisfy a woman's vanity. So Mina quickly picked up the pink diamond and started taking selfies. After a simple editing, a brand new photo appeared. But Mina did not rush to post this photo on social software. Instead, she opened the address book and sent it to a friend named For Loves. That was Mina's best friend, but a male best friend. How is it? Is it beautiful? Mina attached a message. A few minutes later, the other party replied to Mina's message. Not bad. Mina smiled proudly and sent another message. Then do you know who sent this to me? Har har, who else could it be? Of course it's that romantic Su Haochen. Why, without Liu Qingyan, he started to attack you. Why do I feel that what you said sounds a bit sour? Are you jealous? The other party responded, what's the point of me being jealous? Even if I overturn the vinegar factory, I can't compare to the young Master Su. He is now the dream lover of all the girls in the city. How can I compare to him? Just be happy. Mina thought for a moment and said, oh, didn't I give you a shot before this? I'm just acting. The Liu family is in trouble. If the Mi family wants to rise up, they must rely on the power of the Su family. Now is the time when Su Haochen needs care the most. I'm taking action at this time just for the company. Alas. I understand the truth, but Su Haochen is too outstanding. I'm afraid of you. What are you afraid of? Afraid that I'll change my mind. Don't worry, if I like him, I should have cut off contact with you now, right? Don't think too much, I will make our relationship public when things are done, okay? Really? Of course it's true, when have I ever lied to you, but I didn't enjoy it last time, next time I want to buy a better prop to play with you. The other party's tone changed, oh, master, you are so bad, after the last time, my back garden hurt for a long time, but you are still not satisfied, and you want to use a bigger one. Nonsense, since you call me master, then I can't exercise the master's rights. Yes. Okay, I will listen to you. But master, after hearing what you said, I feel something, and I want to be played with by you now. It's a bit late now, next time. You were not like this before, and you even took the initiative to invite me out every time. You really started to like that kind of man. The other party's words made Mina stunned. I seem to be a little different from before. Chapter 21. If I had known this, I would have done it. In the middle of the night, a cell phone ring woke Liu Qingyan up. She glanced at the time and it was just over 3 o'clock. It had only been more than an hour since she fell asleep. Who is it in the middle of the night? Liu Qingyan subconsciously thought it was Su Haochen, and suddenly reached for the phone in the dark. But when she opened it, she found that it was the company secretary calling. After the call was connected, the voice of the secretary Xiao Liu came from the other end of the phone. Boss Liu, something is wrong, something happened in the company. What happened? Just as the secretary was about to speak, there was a knock on the door from the mother's side. Yang Yang. Come out quickly, your dad is dying. Why are there things everywhere? Liu Qingyan was very depressed. Wait for me first, something happened at home. Without waiting for the secretary to speak, Liu Qingyan hung up the phone and opened the door. What's wrong? Why are you calling in the middle of the night? Liu Qingyan looked at her anxious mother impatiently. Your dad just received a call and suddenly fell ill. Go see him. Although Liu Qingyan resented her parents and resented that they had betrothed her to Su Haochen. But blood is thicker than water. She couldn't just stand by and watch when her father got into trouble. Following her mother to the bedroom, she saw her father lying on the ground with a livid face and twitching. What happened? Mother cried and shook her head. I don't know either. I just glanced at my phone and suddenly I was gone. Liu Qingyan looked around and took her father's phone. When she opened it, she found that it was sent by Liu's distant uncle. The other party was also one of the major shareholders of Liu Group. The content of the message was very simple, saying goodbye to Liu's father. The other party had actually sold all his shares and left the board of directors. Liu Qingyan's face changed. Don't move my father, call an ambulance. Then Liu Qingyan called the secretary again. What happened in the company? Boss Liu, didn't you read the news? The equity structure of Liu Group has changed, and several major shareholders have withdrawn their capital. Our capital chain is about to break. Boom. Liu Qingyan felt that this sentence exploded in her mind like a bolt from the blue. The situation of Liu Group was already precarious. At the critical moment, major shareholders withdrew their capital, which was simply adding insult to injury. What's more terrible is that Liu Qingyan doesn't know what to do now. In a daze, Liu Qingyan and her mother sent her father to the emergency room. In the corridor of the hospital, Liu Qingyan walked back and forth, thinking about how to deal with it. Suddenly, Su Haochen appeared in his mind. Whenever she encountered difficulties, the first person she thought of was always Su Haochen. She subconsciously picked up the phone to contact, but came to her senses the next second. They had already separated, and Su Haochen had long since deleted her contact information. In desperation, Liu Qingyan's only hope was director phone. Although Liu Qingyan hated this frivolous and greasy middle-aged man, she could only endure it because it was related to the life and death of the Liu family. But after sending the message, there was no response from director phone. No one answered the phone call. Could it be that my previous actions really angered director phone? Oh, and there's Su Haochen. Since Chaoyang was able to invite the other party, it means that their relationship is still good. If Su Haochen pleads for her, there might be a chance. So Liu Qingyan sent another message to Su Haochen. At this time, Su Haochen was lying on the ground with a pale face, and director phone had already fallen asleep on the bed. Hearing the vibration of the phone, Su Haochen got up from the ground with great difficulty, holding his buttocks and moving step by step to the bed. Picking up the phone and finding that it was Liu Qingyan, Su Haochen's face became even uglier. If it weren't for Liu Qingyan, he wouldn't have been tortured by director phone like this today. At this moment, he felt that his back was about to split open, and the pain made his head buzz. But Liu Qingyan was his hope for a comeback, so he could only be patient and answer the phone. Chaoyang, where are you? Seeing that Su Haochen finally answered the phone, Liu Qingyan breathed a sigh of relief. I just finished working out, what's wrong? Su Haochen said impatiently. Chaoyang, can you help me beg director phone again? Something happened at home, and several veterans of the company also withdrew their capital and left. Now the Liu group is in danger. Only you can help me. Su Haochen was very upset. If I had known this earlier, why did I do it in the first place? If you had made director phone happy at the dinner, would I have suffered this? You would have gotten the cooperation a long time ago. But Su Haochen only dared to think about it. If he offended Liu Qingyan at this time, he would not have a good ending. I know. I'll help you contact them. Don't worry. Su Haochen hung up the phone and looked at director phone, who was sleeping soundly with some hesitation. Although Su Haochen didn't want to wake up the man who almost tortured him to death, he gritted his teeth and pushed director phone in order to turn over. Director phone. Director phone. Why are you arguing? Are you going to let me sleep? Director phone opened his eyes with some annoyance. He was very tired after the fierce battle just now. He was sleeping well, but he was woken up. Director phone, I didn't mean it. It's just an emergency. You promised me cooperation before. Cooperation? What cooperation? It's cooperation with Liu Group. Didn't we agree on it before? Director phone sneered when he heard it. Oh, you're talking about this. We discussed it, but I didn't get what I wanted, didn't I? Since it's a deal, you can't let me pay alone. Besides, what is this Liu Qingyan? Is there a diamond on her? Don't say I haven't done it yet. Even if I did, I have to see if her work is good. Su Haochen looked embarrassed, but he didn't dare to disobey the other party. Yes, you are right. It's all because she is ignorant. But don't worry, I will persuade her well next time. Now you help her once, maybe she will be grateful to you. Director phone smiled contemptuously. It's too late to say these now. Who do you think I am? A toy that you can call and wave away at will. Get out of here quickly. I'm annoyed when I see you now. Director phone, get out or not. If not, I will ban you tomorrow. Seeing that director phone was really angry, Su Haochen could only leave in disgrace with his clothes. At this time, Liu Qingyan's phone called again. Chaoyang, how is it going? How is it going? You still have the nerve to ask me how it is going. Liu Qingyan, I worked so hard to help you get business and sponsorship, and you treated me like this. Do you know how powerful director phone is in the circle? You offended him, and not only did you harm the Liu group, but you also harmed me. He said he would ban me. Liu Qingyan panicked when she heard it. I didn't mean to do that. I was. Don't say anything. It's too late to say anything now. If you want the Liu group to be safe, there is only one way, and that is to ask Su Haochen for help. Except for him, no one can save you now. Chapter 22 Liu Qingyan's first time. Listening to the accusations from the other end of the phone, Liu Qingyan felt extremely aggrieved. But at the same time, I feel guilty. After all, Su Haochen took great pains to invite director phone. As a result, because of his own self-esteem, this matter was ruined. Xie Chaoyang even thought that he was in danger of being banned. At this time, Xie Chaoyang's tone softened a lot. Yang, I didn't mean to yell at you. I did this for our future. You know that? Yes, I know. That's why I want to apologize to Director Feng. Xie Chaoyang said impatiently, it's useless. I went there just now, and he almost chopped me with a knife. Yang, for me, for our future, go find Su Haochen again. I was there last time, so it might have irritated him. If you go by yourself this time, maybe he'll soften his heart and agree. Is this really the case? Liu Qingyan was somewhat moved. If I think about it carefully, Xie Chaoyang was indeed there during the visit to Tinglangshuan and the one at the villa. Maybe Su Haochen was mad at me because of jealousy? Yes, that must be it. Otherwise, why would someone who loves you so much suddenly become so cold to you? Thinking of this, Liu Qingyan returned home and changed into the clothes that Su Haochen had given her before. Then he bought Su Haochen's favorite breakfast early in the morning and hurried to Su Haochen's door. At this time, Su Haochen was still immersed in a beautiful dream. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Who is it? Are you here to kill me so early in the morning? Su Haochen, who was disturbed, glanced at the time and saw that it was just past 5 o'clock. He became even more angry. Going downstairs and opening the door, Liu Qingyan appeared at the gate. Su Haochen frowned at Liu Qingyan's arrival. What are you doing here? Liu Qingyan looked up at Su Haochen, whose temperament was completely different from before, and her heart was in turmoil again. I was passing by here and happened to see your favorite breakfast, so I brought some over to you. No need, take it back and share it with Xie Chaoyang. After saying that, Su Haochen planned to close the door. But Liu Qingyan blocked it with her foot. Su Haochen, wait a minute. Su Haochen looked at Liu Qingyan quietly through the crack in the door. Open the door first. I have something to tell you. There is nothing more to say between us. Everything was said on the wedding day. Please leave, or I will ask the property management to come and ask you to leave. Liu Qingyan looked at Su Haochen with an indifferent expression. She felt very uncomfortable with his ruthlessness. Haochen, call me Su Haochen or Mr. Su. We are not that familiar with each other now. Su. President. Liu Qingyan took a deep breath. I know that what I did is not worthy of forgiveness, but I was forced to do it by my parents. Su Haochen interrupted Liu Qingyan again. Liu Qingyan, you don't have to take yourself so seriously. Whatever you think and do now has nothing to do with me. As for the past, just think of it as God's punishment for me. After saying that, Su Haochen prepared to close the door again. Seeing this, Liu Qingyan finally couldn't help herself. Su Haochen, I know why you don't want to see me. Do you have a mistress hidden in your house? So you're too guilty to let me in? Are you afraid that I'll catch you in bed with me? Su Haochen suddenly chuckled. Liu Qingyan, please be aware of your identity. First of all, you are not my relative. Whether there is anyone in my room or not has nothing to do with you. Secondly, but most importantly, I'm single now. Even if there are 8 or 10 women lying in my room, you have no right to interfere. A guilty conscience. This phrase is more suitable to describe you. I was wondering why you came to me so early in the morning instead of rolling around in bed with Xie Chaoyang. Did he abandon you, or is he just not good enough in that aspect? Liu Qingyan was dumbfounded by Su Haochen's ridicule. This was the first time Su Haochen spoke to her in such a tone. In the past, Su Haochen was very obedient to her and spoke softly, fearing that a louder voice would scare her. But now, Su Haochen was completely different. Not only did he start to blame himself, but he also spoke clearly and logically, leaving him no room for rebuttal. Yes, he is a bachelor now. Even if there is a woman in the room, what does it have to do with her? What right does she have to control other people's private lives? But now that she was here, Liu Qingyan was unwilling to leave just like that. What's more, if they leave like this, the Liu group will be completely finished. So Liu Qingyan's tone softened, and she quickly said, Haochen. No, President Su, that's not what I meant. I came here this time because I really want to ask you for help. Even if you don't consider the fact that we are about to get married, consider the time I spent on you. That is my youth. Su Haochen almost laughed out loud. He thought to himself, you didn't spend your time on me at all, you clearly spent it on Xie Chaoyang in every possible way. But to be honest, in a sense, she did waste a few years on herself. She was forced by her parents to stay with her for so long. So Su Haochen did not kill them all. 3 minutes to state your purpose. Liu Qingyan was delighted. He still has me in his heart. It's like this. The Liu group has just suffered a heavy blow. The elders have withdrawn their capital one after another. Now the company's capital chain is broken and it can no longer hold on. So you want to borrow money? Su Haochen crossed his arms and looked at Liu Qingyan with a smile on his face. Liu Qingyan felt uncomfortable with Su Haochen's gaze, but she still nodded patiently. How many? Seeing that there was a chance, Liu Qingyan quickly said, don't give too much, 500 million is enough. However, Su Haochen was not in a hurry to agree to Liu Qingyan. 500 million is not a lot, so it shouldn't be a problem for you. How could that be? There isn't much money left in the Liu group's accounts. Liu Qingyan looked at Su Haochen anxiously and couldn't help but grab his hand. However, Su Haochen gently shook it off. He said calmly, what about the gifts I gave you before? The gifts I gave you over the years are not worth 500 million now. Anyway, I don't plan to take those things back. You can just sell them now and raise 500 million easily. Hearing this, Liu Qingyan's face turned even redder. It's not that she hadn't thought about it, but the things that Su Haochen gave her had long been spent on Su Haochen. Su Haochen was able to quickly transform from a newcomer to a small internet celebrity, and Liu Qingyan had made a lot of arrangements behind the scenes. In order not to attract the attention of the company's finance department, almost all the money spent at that time was earned by selling gifts. It is no longer possible to make a comeback by relying on the gift given by Su Haochen. Chapter 23, Beauty Trap. Looking at Liu Qingyan's embarrassed expression, Su Haochen understood everything clearly. In fact, Su Haochen knew what was going on without Liu Qingyan telling him. I never saw her wear the things I gave her. When they were still together, Su Haochen even asked her if she didn't like him, but she just answered perfunctorily in the end. 1 or 2 was still acceptable, but over the years, the number of gifts Su Haochen gave her definitely exceeded 3 digits. As a result, I have hardly seen him a few times. After his rebirth, Su Haochen immediately understood. Liu Qingyan is using her gift to support a gigolo. I'm sorry. I really want to help you, but this is the best I can do. The business world has been turbulent recently, and the Su Group doesn't have much liquidity in its account. Everyone is struggling, so you can just hope for the best. Seeing this, Liu Qingyan couldn't help but become a little anxious. But you just gave Mina a pink diamond worth over 100 million last night. Now you tell me there's no money in the account. When the Liu Group encountered a crisis, you took out billions of dollars without saying a word to help us overcome the difficulties. Why were you so happy at that time? Now I only need 500 million and you are stumped. Anyway, I've been your girlfriend for many years. Considering our relationship, can't you help me? Su Haochen almost laughed out loud. This Liu Qingyan is really shameless. How dare she say that she has been my girlfriend for so many years? I know, she's his girlfriend. If you don't know, you might think she is his mistress. He was very obedient to Liu Qingyan and coaxed her all day long. I'm afraid she's not feeling well somewhere. But what about Liu Qingyan? She usually never even looks at me. It was rare for him to go out with friends, and he was as humble as a butler, responsible for only 2 things: spending money and carrying things. Other than that, there wasn't even much communication. Liu Qingyan looked down on herself, and even her best friends looked down on her. People secretly say that he is a bootlicker. But because Su Haochen liked Liu Qingyan, he endured it all. It was not until the moment he woke up that Su Haochen realized how wrong he was. How can they be boyfriend and girlfriend? They are just master and servant. No, it is even more humble than the master-servant relationship. The master and servant could still give each other some salary and food, but Liu Qingyan had never done anything for Su Haochen. Now, Liu Qingyan actually said shamelessly that she had been his girlfriend for several years. It was so ridiculous. Stop talking. I'm ashamed for you. Just go away. I don't want to embarrass you. Seeing Su Haochen being so resolute, Liu Qingyan panicked. Haochen. No, President Su, I know I'm not a competent girlfriend, but at least I didn't break up with you at that time, right? I also agreed to your request for marriage, but it was just an impulse, and you couldn't help but have sex with Su Haochen, and then confessed your love in public at the wedding, right? Su Haochen waved his hands. He really didn't want to continue talking nonsense with Liu Qingyan. This woman apologized so confidently. There is only one of its kind in the world. So after saying this, Su Haochen prepared to close the door. But this time Liu Qingyan rushed in directly. Su Haochen, I understand. I finally know why you have been refusing to see me. Even when you see me, you look bitter and resentful. Su Haochen frowned slightly. Liu Qingyan, what you are doing now is called trespassing. I can call the police at any time. Then call the police. Even if some of my words make you unhappy, I still have to say them. Su Haochen smiled and looked at Liu Qingyan with interest. He really wanted to know, since he had made his words so clearly, what else did Liu Qingyan have to say? Okay, then tell me. Is it because of Mina? Mina. What does it have to do with her? Liu Qingyan sneered, as if she had seen through Su Haochen. Haochen, even though we didn't get along well these years, we have been boyfriend and girlfriend for a few years after all. I know exactly who you are. In this place, the only one who can compete with me, Liu Qingyan, is probably Mina. After you left me, you immediately found Mina and introduced her to Xingyao Group's business, and you chose Tinglangshuan. You did all this on purpose, right? Su Haochen found it funny. It's really a waste that Liu Qingyan doesn't go to make a movie. I really didn't expect this imaginary scene. You think too much. Am I overthinking? Su Haochen, I can regard one coincidence as a coincidence, but when coincidences occur one after another in a short period of time, it is not a coincidence. As she spoke, Liu Qingyan actually revealed a confident smile. Su Haochen, stop deceiving yourself. Whether you arranged business for Mina, gave her gifts, or set off fireworks for her, you did all of this in front of me. You are not trying to please Mina. You are using Mina's relationship to stimulate me and make me understand that my current messed up life is all my own fault. Otherwise, the woman next to you should have been me. Su Haochen looked at Liu Qingyan in some surprise. If he was not the person involved, he might even be persuaded. If you think about it carefully, it's all a bit of a coincidence. Every time something happened between him and Mina, Liu Qingyan would always appear at the scene. Looking at it this way, it's really hard to explain. I'm too lazy to explain to you. If you think it's like this, then it's like this. I need to rest. Please leave. Having said that, Su Haochen opened the door again, hoping that Liu Qingyan would give up. But Liu Qingyan looked at Su Haochen and suddenly sneered. Su Haochen, your acting skills are really good enough to win the Best Actor award. But it doesn't matter. I know you care about your face, so I won't expose you. I know what you care about the most and what you want the most. I'll give it to you, all now. Su Haochen frowned slightly, then tell me, what do I want? Liu Qingyan chuckled, what you care about most is that I have been with you for so many years, but you have only touched my hand a few times, right? What you care about is that I didn't give myself to you, but gave myself to Xie Chaoyang instead. This makes you feel unhappy, right? It's okay, since you want it so much, I can give it to you now. As she spoke, under Su Haochen's slightly surprised gaze, Liu Qingyan actually untied the shoulder straps of her skirt. As the shoulder straps slid down, the almost transparent sexy lingerie appeared in front of Su Haochen. Liu Qingyan looked at Su Haochen expressionlessly, and in front of him, she placed her hand on the iron hook of her bra. Come on, you've always wanted my body, right? I'll give it to you now. Chapter 24, Asking for Reconciliation. Too late. Looking at the body in front of him that he had once strongly desired, Su Haochen felt no wave of emotion. Instead, he felt nauseous. Su Haochen turned around and closed the door. This action once again caused Liu Qingyan to misunderstand. She sneered inwardly and looked down on Su Haochen even more. All men are the same. But the next second, Su Haochen threw the sheet on the sofa at her. I have no interest in doing that kind of thing with you. If you really want to get money from me, let's talk about something else. After saying that, Su Haochen sat directly on the sofa without even looking at Liu Qingyan. This guy actually ignored my body. Liu Qingyan looked at Su Haochen in disbelief. You know, in this place, the people who wanted to get her body would line up all the way to Maaz. Thinking back to the time when Su Haochen was so excited just to hold hands with me, I could still feel his excitement for a long time. But now, facing his own body, he had no reaction at all, and his tone even revealed annoyance. This made Liu Qingyan begin to doubt her own charm. But no matter what, Su Haochen finally gave in. Put on your clothes and we'll talk slowly. Liu Qingyan responded, put on her clothes, and returned to Su Haochen. Please sit down. Su Haochen looked at Liu Qingyan with deep eyes. For some reason, Liu Qingyan seemed to see a small boat floating on the sea. Su Haochen is the sea. She is a small boat. Su Haochen, who could once see through other people's thoughts at a glance. At this moment, he was so experienced and steady that it was frightening. For the first time in her life, Liu Qingyan actually felt a little nervous. But for the sake of the company, she suppressed her discomfort and asked Su Haochen for help again. Haochen, you have feelings for me after all. For this reason, please help me, okay? Su Haochen said calmly, we are talking about business now, so don't talk about other irrelevant things. If you want to get money from me, you have to pay the corresponding price. Liu Qingyan nodded. As long as you are willing to invest, I will agree to any conditions you offer. Well, in that case, you can mortgage the assets of Liu Group to me. Liu Qingyan refused without even thinking about it. No, accept this. Su Haochen chuckled, then please go back. In this case, we have nothing to talk about. Liu Qingyan was a little angry and felt that Su Haochen was taking advantage of her misfortune. Su Haochen, you're going too far. I came to you to borrow money, not to sell the company to you. If I wanted to sell the company, why didn't I go to the bank? Su Haochen crossed his legs and made a light gesture. Then you can go and try. I want to see which bank will lend money to the Liu Group. Considering the current debt situation of the Liu Group, do you think they are idiots or fools? Liu Qingyan was speechless. In fact, she had tried it a long time ago, but the bank managers before either refused to answer her calls or blocked her calls. I was turned away every time I went there in person. No one was willing to help the Liu Group at this time. Liu Qingyan, my time is limited. I'll give you 1 more minute to consider. If you don't agree, we don't need to continue the discussion. I promise you. Although she was unwilling, Liu Qingyan knew that at this moment only Su Haochen could help her. As for Su Haochen, he had already begun to sneer in his heart. Because all this was just part of his plan. He would never forget what Liu Qingyan had done to him in his entire life, so how could he possibly help her overcome the crisis? On the contrary, Su Haochen was just speeding up the process. As he was thinking, Liu Qingyan had already listed the industries and companies currently under the Liu Group. Su Haochen only took a glance and laughed in his heart again. This Liu Qingyan did not identify some of the pillar industries of the Liu Group. Instead, some sunset industries and companies that are about to face bankruptcy and liquidation are listed. It seems generous, but it's actually all garbage. Some are even bombs that will explode whoever takes them. This Liu Qingyan is still thinking about how to plot against me. Su Haochen sneered inwardly, but his expression did not show the slightest fluctuation. Well, if you can, give these to me. Su Haochen drew a few circles on the paper. They are all technology projects and real estate. However, due to poor management, most of these industries are in a half-dead state. A lot of blood was sucked, but the profit brought to the Liu Group was pitifully small. It can be said to be a real money-making beast. Liu Qingyan was very surprised by Su Haochen's choice. Su Haochen has performed very well during this period, and even Liu Qingyan admires many of his decisions. She couldn't believe that such a gifted child would be so blind as to choose these few sunset industries. Could it be that he did it on purpose? He was just being tough, but actually he still had me in his heart. Yes, that must be the case. He just can't save face, so he tries to please me in this way. Liu Qingyan regained her confidence. No problem, but I have one more request. Su Haochen looked up at Liu Qingyan and said nothing. Liu Qingyan hurriedly said, Su Haochen, I know you have a conflict with Su Haochen, but because of me, Su Haochen's career is now hindered. I have always felt bad about it. Can you help him? Just do it for my sake. Liu Qingyan felt a little uneasy. After all, the reason why he and Su Haochen became what they are now is all because of Su Haochen. So even if Su Haochen rejected her, it was understandable. However, Su Haochen actually nodded. Okay, what do you need me to do? Liu Qingyan's face lit up. Don't bother too much, you just need to tell Mina to let Su Haochen be their brand spokesperson and help promote the products. Okay, I'll call Mina right away. Liu Qingyan smiled. This was probably the first time she showed a happy smile in front of Su Haochen. Thank you, Haochen. Liu Qingyan looked at Su Haochen, her heart pounding. Could it be true, as Xia Chaoyarn said, that Su Haochen still has himself in his heart? Suddenly, Liu Qingyan suddenly looked towards Su Haochen on impulse. Haochen, let's make peace. Reconcile? Liu Qingyan, what do you think of me, Su Haochen? You don't think that I still love you just because I agreed to help you and Xia Chaoyarn, do you? If that's the case, then I advise you to give up on this idea. Then why did you agree to help me and Xia Chaoyarn so readily? Like you said, even if it's just an explanation for our relationship, remember, it's about the relationship over the past few years, not you. Okay, I've said everything I need to say, please go back. Chapter 25, Meet Mina again. Although Liu Qingyan was blasted out by Su Haochen. But no matter what, the crisis of Liu Group has been temporarily alleviated. Xia Chaoyarn finally accomplished what he had urged himself to do several times. So after leaving Su Haochen's house, Liu Qingyan called Xia Chaoyarn immediately. At this time, Xia Chaoyarn was lying on the sofa sulking. Last night's madness caused serious damage to his anus. Now I can't lie down or sit, and it hurts so much when I'm touched. Although I went to the hospital, the doctor said it was okay. But the doctor's meaningful words before he left still made him feel ashamed. Be careful next time you play. It will be hard to deal with it if it breaks. Although he was unhappy, Xia Chaoyarn didn't dare to say anything more. After all, Director Feng's status in the circle is not someone he can afford to offend. If someone says one word to him, he will be kicked out of this circle. He had finally fallen asleep, but the sudden ringing of the phone startled him awake and he sat up straight away. The sudden pain made him scream, and he fell to the ground. Who is calling me at this time? When he took it and saw that it was Liu Qingyan, Xia Chaoyarn became even more angry. But then he thought again and realized that he still needed Liu Qingyan's help, so he patiently answered the phone. Hello? What are you doing so early? Liu Qingyan was not aware of Xia Chaoyarn's tone. Now she just wanted to share her happiness with her lover. Chaoyarn, I did what you asked me to do. What's the matter? Did you go to see Director Feng? Xia Chaoyarn's tone was a little sour. Although it was he who proposed this plan, he was also the one who introduced Liu Qingyan to Director Feng. But if Director Feng really touched Liu Qingyan, he would still feel uncomfortable. No, it's Su Haochen. Su Haochen. Xia Chaoyarn's tone became even deeper. You went to find Su Haochen. Well, didn't you ask me to find it? Then what? Then he promised to help the Liu Group overcome its difficulties, and also promised to intercede for you, asking the MI Group to invite you to promote their MI products. When Xia Chaoyarn heard this, his unhappiness immediately disappeared. He asked excitedly, Really? Really? I just came out of Su Haochen's house. He promised me personally. My little darling, I know you're the best. What did I tell you before? You've always been in his heart. As long as you say a word, he'll run right to you. As he was talking, Xia Chaoyarn looked for a while, and then suddenly realized something. So he changed the subject and asked tentatively, Did Su Haochen make any requests? No, we just acquired some companies under the Liu Group. But it doesn't matter. Those are sunset industries. We won't lose money if we sell them. Xia Chaoyarn frowned, No more. No more. That's impossible. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He didn't ask you for anything excessive? Like asking you to sleep with him or something like that. Liu Qingyan was stunned for a moment. No, why are you suddenly saying this? Xia Chaoyarn sneered, Yang, we are boyfriend and girlfriend now, we should be honest with each other. Even if you did something with Su Haochen, I wouldn't mind. After all, you did it for me, didn't you? This sentence made Liu Qingyan a little angry. Xia Chaoyarn, what do you think of me? Am I so unclean in your heart? Upon hearing that Liu Qingyan was really angry, Xia Chaoyarn hurriedly began to apologize. Although he still felt that something must have happened between Liu Qingyan and Su Haochen, he still needed Liu Qingyan's help to make him popular again, and it would be more troublesome to turn against Liu Qingyan now. Okay, I'm worried about you too. If Su Haochen really says something rude to you or has improper thoughts about you, don't agree to him. At worst, I can find another job to support you in the future. Really? Are you really willing to give up this opportunity for me? Of course. Xia Chaoyarn felt a little guilty, fearing that Liu Qingyan would really do that. Silly boy, I'm fine. Su Haochen really didn't make any excessive demands on me. As she was speaking, a familiar figure appeared in front of Liu Qingyan. It was Su Haochen. Judging from the way Su Haochen was dressed, he should be getting ready to go to work. Liu Qingyan's eyes flashed, and she said, "I have to drive now. Let's talk again when we have time." Then he hung up the phone and followed Su Haochen closely. Su Haochen came to the company and greeted the employees. Although the employees all responded, everyone looked a little strange. Su Haochen knew that the reason they were like this was all because of Liu Qingyan. In fact, before Su Haochen came to the company, he knew that Liu Qingyan had been following him. Just pretending not to see it. "Look, isn't that Mr. Su's ex-fiancée? Why is she here? Do you think she might have changed her mind and returned to President Su? That can't be possible. He cheated on President Su in front of the whole city and released such a stimulating video. President Su shouldn't have a cuckold complex, right?" As they were talking, Liu Qingyan walked up to them. "What are you talking about? You have the time to chat here, why don't you go back and get ready for work?" Seeing Liu Qingyan coming over, these employees quickly shrank their necks. Although Liu Qingyan is no longer a senior executive of the Su Group, her status is still there. And they don't know what the situation is now. If she really rekindled her old love with Su Haochen, then they would be asking for trouble. So the group of people scattered and went back to work. Liu Qingyan was very proud of this. But at this moment, a sarcastic voice sounded. "Oh my, I see someone acting so high and mighty here so early in the morning. If I remember correctly, you have been expelled from the Su Group a long time ago. Here, your status is even lower than that of a cleaning lady." Mina came up to Liu Qingyan in a professional suit. Seeing Liu Qingyan's sexy outfit, there was even more contempt in his eyes. "Boss Liu, after leaving Brother Haochen, you must be so hungry that you're not choosing food, right? Are you dressed like this and coming to Su Group to be a streetwalker? But your image is not good enough. How about I talk to the HR department and let you come here to be a streetwalker? Anyway, Liu Group will soon go bankrupt. We are sisters after all. Don't say I didn't help you when you were at your lowest point in life. Mina, don't be so proud. It won't be long before the Liu Group returns to its peak." Mina laughed. Okay, then I'll wait and see. But if the Liu Group is gone, don't cry or come to beg Brother Haochen to get back together." Chapter 26. You are not welcome here. Mina's words were like sharp thorns that pierced into Liu Qingyan's heart. On the other hand, Mina looked at Liu Qingyan with contempt and turned to walk towards the elevator. Liu Qingyan really wanted to leave, but her relationship with Su Haochen had finally improved a little. If Mina destroys it again, it will be more trouble than gain. So Liu Qingyan gritted her teeth and followed him into the elevator. Mina frowned. "Liu Qingyan, what are you doing here? You are not a member of the Su Group anymore." Liu Qingyan snorted coldly, "You speak as if you are a member of the Su Group. Why, only you are allowed to find Su Haochen, but I can't find him." Har, Liu Qingyan, are you crazy? Your relationship with Brother Haochen has ended a long time ago. Can you not be so shameless? Now you know how to pester me. If you had known this would happen, why did you do it in the first place? The two women were arguing with each other in the elevator, and the other employees didn't dare to interrupt. At this time, in the president's office, Su Haochen and his son were discussing company matters. As the door opened, Mina walked in first. "Hey, isn't this Nana? Are you here to see Haochen?" Mina politely bowed slightly to Father Su. "Good morning, Uncle, good morning, Brother Haochen." Okay. Father Su nodded with a smile on his face, and was about to say a few polite words to Mina when he suddenly saw Liu Qingyan following him into the office. The original smile disappeared without a trace in an instant. "Liu Qingyan, what are you doing here?" The oppressive feeling from Su's father made Liu Qingyan feel uncomfortable all over, and she subconsciously looked in the direction of Su Haochen. Seeing this, Su's father became even more furious. "Haochen, what's going on? Don't tell me you're being stupid again. You know how she treated you before. I don't want you to make the same mistake again. Otherwise, don't blame me and your mother for not recognizing you as their son." What happened at the wedding made the Su family lose face in the city, not to mention that Liu Qingyan is now a known bitch. Even if she really changed her mind, Su's father would never agree to her having any relationship with Su Haochen again. Seeing this, Mina hurried over to help Su's father massage his chest. "Uncle, please don't worry. Brother Haochen has seen through this woman and will never be fooled by her again. Father Su glanced at the considerate and gentle Mina, his eyes full of satisfaction. It would be great if the Su family had such an outstanding and capable daughter-in-law. Haochen, look at Mina, and then look at a certain woman. The difference is so obvious. Haochen, your dad is an experienced person and I can judge people well. You must keep your eyes open when you interact with others in the future and don't let others manipulate you anymore. These words made Liu Qingyan, who was standing beside him, feel very awkward. How could he not know who Su's father was talking about? In the past, she would have left in a rage, but now, because she needed a favor from Su Haochen, she could only stand here and be scolded. Su Haochen said calmly, "Dad, you think too much. She and I are at most business partners now, nothing more." Liu Qingyan thought that this was a way for Su Haochen to give her a chance, so she nodded repeatedly and said, "Yes, I came here today to discuss business." "Talk about business. What business? What business do you Liu family have to discuss now?" Su Haochen said a few simple words, which made Su's father so angry that he went berserk. "Su Haochen, are you crazy? Do you know what you are doing?" Su Haochen waved his hand and looked at Yun Ruoshi beside him. "Ruoshi, take President Liu to the conference room to wait for me." "Nana, you go too." "Yes, I." Yun Ruoshi glanced at Su's angry father with some embarrassment. "I have the final say here, go ahead." "Yes, Mr. Liu, Miss Mina, please come this way." Liu Qingyan no longer wanted to stay in this office. When Mina saw that the atmosphere between the Su family father and son was not right, she hurriedly left. Only the Su father and son were left in the house. "Su Haochen, give me an explanation. What on earth are you doing now? Why did you spend so much money to buy such a pile of junk? You said you have no feelings for Liu Qingyan anymore, but what's the difference between you doing charity now? If this gets out, our Su family will lose all face. It's not enough that you cuckolded someone at the wedding, now you want to be a tortoise, right? I don't have a son like you." Father Su was so angry that he stamped his feet and beat his chest. Su Haochen smiled helplessly, quickly poured a cup of tea for his father, and handed it to his father with both hands. "Dad, calm down first. I have my reasons for doing this, but it has absolutely nothing to do with Liu Qingyan. Do you think I will believe you? I am also a businessman, I am not stupid. I know the situation of these companies very well. If you buy them now, it is not just a hot potato, but a time bomb that can explode at any time. You will harm the Su group by doing this." Su Haochen sat next to his father and whispered a few words in his ear. At first, Su's father was full of anger, but as he listened, he became dumbfounded. "Are you sure? It's absolutely true. Otherwise, why would I take such a risk and make such a decision? If that's the case, then I can understand. But understanding is one thing, this Liu Qingyan is not simple. You must be careful when you cooperate with her, and don't let her take advantage of the opportunity to turn the tables. Dad, don't worry. I've long been disappointed with her. This time, it's all for us." "Well, if you think so, then your mother and I will feel more relieved. Okay, I, an old hand, will not disturb you young people's communication. Remember, you must be careful of Liu Qingyan. Don't worry." After seeing her father off, Mina returned to the office. "Mina, you came to see me so early, it should not be just to say hello." Mina was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, "As expected of Brother Haochen, I can't hide anything from you. I came here today because I really have something to ask of you. Tell me, what's the matter?" "Brother Haochen, I noticed that you come to work by yourself every day. You are the president of Su Group now. How about I send a driver to pick you up every day?" Su Haochen waved his hand. "No, I'm used to being alone." "Oh, Brother Haochen, don't refuse. You always have to attend social events. If you drink, you can't drive. If you get caught, it will be big news and bad for the company's reputation. It just so happens that there are few idle people in our company. I can send one of them over. He can be your driver and your assistant to carry things for you. How great is that?" Unable to refuse such a kind invitation, Su Haochen had no choice but to agree. "Okay, thank you for your help then." "Hey, no trouble." Mina secretly rejoiced. Because the person she wanted to introduce was none other than her male best friend. Su Haochen noticed this fleeting expression. This girl, something is wrong. Chapter 27 Lessons from the Past. Today's society is an era of rapid development of information technology. In the past, the fastest means of communication were television and large newspapers. But now, you only need a mobile phone, 2 fingers, and a light tap to spread the message from 1 to 10, or even 10 to 100 in a short time. Especially those highly topical news can spread across the country in just a few seconds and become known to everyone. It can be said that in this era, the internet is a real big fish. Whether it is online business, live streaming, or short videos, innovation and alternation will occur in the near future. A considerable number of industries will transform from the original market economy to the internet economy. The word traffic will become the trend of future development. Whoever controls the traffic is equivalent to controlling a fertile field that can continuously produce leeks. As long as it is used properly, fertile land will become a treasure chest for making money. In contrast, the once booming real economy has suffered a series of setbacks. The most serious ones are the lower-level dealers. Before the internet was developed, factories in various places distributed materials through layers of distributors. It can not only distribute the goods, but also activate the entire logistics industry. Distributors at all levels will then continue to distribute the products to stores in various regions, thus creating numerous job opportunities invisibly. However, with the advent of the internet information age, physical stores and downstream dealers have suffered the most serious losses. At the beginning, it was just the rise of online stores, and the impact on physical stores and downstream dealers was not that great. However, with the rise of live streaming sales, ordinary people can buy their favorite products at a price 10% or even more cheaper than the market price. Especially those that claim to be sold directly from the manufacturer are extremely cheap. Because this saves most of the logistics and a lot of labor costs. It seems that the common people have benefited. But in fact, only some people can benefit from it. Many people did not realize when they bought these things that such commodity trading activities actually killed many jobs invisibly. It is not easy to deal with lower-level distributors, so logistics is handed over to specialized logistics companies. All their manufacturers need is a live streamer to sell the products and a few warehouses for distribution. Labor costs have been reduced, prices have been reduced, but at the same time, a large number of employees have become unemployed. As for the once booming real estate and finance, they are bubbles within bubbles. Especially the subsequent disaster that almost caused the global economy to collapse. The simplest example is Hengtai Group, which was once the #1 company in China. Because of real estate, it went from being the richest company in China to the loser overnight. Let alone the financial economy, it's a green grassland, and every day you can see news about people jumping off buildings to commit suicide. Relying on his experiences in his previous life, Su Haochen has full confidence in controlling the direction of the world economy in the next few years. What he has to do now is to integrate information and take the lead in creating a perfect ecological chain. The Su Group will no longer have a so-called core industry. In Su Haochen's view, all walks of life can become the pillars of the Su Group. Even if one of them goes bankrupt, there are still other industries to help support it. Just as Su Haochen was thinking about the future of the company, there was a knock on the door and Yun Ruoshi walked in. "Boss Su, I have completed everything you asked me to do before. We have completed the initial handover with Liu Group." Su Haochen responded. Then he found out that Yun Ruoshi had not left. So he looked up and asked curiously, "What's wrong? Is there anything else?" Yun Ruoshi wanted to say something but stopped herself. "It's okay. There are no outsiders here. Just say whatever you want to say. Boss Su, forgive me for being blunt. I have reviewed the information of the companies under the Liu Group today. To be honest, the operating conditions of several of them can no longer be described as insufficient to cover their expenses. They are already in huge debts. If we buy them at this time, it will cause unnecessary burden to the company, so I advise you to think twice and cooperate with Liu Group with caution." Su Haochen smiled and poured a cup of coffee for Yun Ruoshi himself. Yun Ruoshi was flattered. "Thank you, Mr. Su. Did I say something wrong?" Su Haochen shook his head and motioned for her to sit down with a smile. "Come, sit down and talk slowly." Yun Ruoshi bit her lip and sat down. "Okay, tell me what you think." "Well, it's actually very simple. Now everyone is paying attention to emerging industries, especially the technology sector which has been developing rapidly in recent years. I think there is nothing wrong with your acquisition of these companies. The problem lies with those real estate companies. Excuse me, with the current living standards and pressures, young people who want to buy a house can only rely on the elderly, and very few can earn money to buy a house by working. Moreover, young people's views on marriage and values are obviously different from those of the previous generation. There are more and more single people. Not to mention the future, many real estate projects are empty right now. House prices in remote areas are falling again and again. I had an uncle who bought a house near Longju. The price was more than 20,000 yuan per square meter 2 years ago, but this year he cut it in half. If he doesn't sell it, he doesn't know when the price will drop again. If he sells it, it's just like the bank's interest. There are countless cases like this. So I think your decision to acquire these real estate companies was a mistake. Su Haochen smiled. Your analysis is spot on, and you just mentioned a state that most young people and even middle-aged people are in nowadays, which is playing badly. Yun Ruoshi nodded. By the way, let me ask you, how long has it been since you last read a book? I mean paper books. Yun Ruoshi was stunned for a moment, then smiled bitterly and said, I'm so busy at work every day, how can I have time to go to the bookstore? I want to die in bed after taking a shower at home. President Su, I'm not saying that the company is too busy, I'm saying. No need to explain to me, I understand. Then what about your leisure and entertainment? Just watching videos and reading e-books. That's right. Now it's all about one word, fast and satisfying. Why is takeout so popular now? On the one hand, it's because fewer and fewer people cook. On the other hand, it's because they can use the time they spend cooking to do something else, either rest or create for more value than this takeout. The same is true for entertainment. Short plays, short videos, online novels, etc. will become a development trend in the future. There is also live streaming with goods, which will become mainstream in the future. So I'm not selling these properties to others, but I want to use them for myself. I plan to turn part of it into a talent training base and create something that is popular, has topics and traffic. Then we will build a shooting base specifically for shooting low-cost but high-quality short dramas. Secondly, we can rely on our connections to build warehouses in various places and seize the first opportunity. Even if we only act as agents in the future, we can still make a lot of money. Chapter 28 Genius. Listening to Su Haochen talking there, Yun Ruoshi was dumbfounded. As Su Haochen's personal assistant, Yun Ruoshi is a top student. As a person who graduated from a professional school, she could of course understand what Su Haochen meant. There were many viewpoints that she had never even thought of. But Su Haochen not only thought about it, he even started to do it. The most important thing is that many things sound like fantasy. But after Su Haochen said this, Yun Ruoshi felt that it was really the case. Take the short play and online article mentioned earlier for example. Yun Ruoshi likes to watch those short videos when she gets home. On the contrary, I rarely watch the movies and TV series that I used to love. On the one hand, I don't have the time and patience, and on the other hand, some parts are more enjoyable to read than to read the commentary. A TV series can easily last dozens of hours. But sometimes an explanation video only takes dozens of minutes. As for reading, it is even more so. I only pursue one word, and that is enjoyment. As long as they are spiritually happy, they don't even have such high requirements for writing skills. This is also why Xiao Baiwen makes money. Yun Ruoshi had experienced so many things personally, so she thought Su Haochen's views were very interesting. If it is really done, the Su group will definitely be able to reach a higher level. With everyone's brainstorming, as Su Haochen expressed his ideas, a grand blueprint suddenly formed in Yun Ruoshi's mind. If that's the case, we can put the film and television base in the southwest region, where it's warm like spring all year round, which is very suitable for filming. As for warehouses, we can start from the Jiangsu, Zhejiang and Shanghai areas. There are many OEM factories there, and a large number of warehouses will definitely be used for the distribution of goods in the future. For the talent training center, we can find a place like a university town, where there are many beautiful women and handsome men, especially art schools. Yun Ruoshi became more and more excited as she spoke, and under Su Haochen's astonished gaze, she actually constructed a rough blueprint. This gave Su Haochen a new impression of Yun Ruoshi. Although Su Haochen knew that Yun Ruoshi was capable before, he didn't expect that she could learn from her experience and fill the loopholes in his plan. This makes the entire plan more feasible. Thinking about it carefully, When he was pursuing Liu Qingyan all day long, almost all the important tasks of the company fell on Yun Ruoshi. Things that were not originally Yun Ruoshi's concern were also completed by her. And I am just an irresponsible boss who doesn't care about anything. This is because Yun Ruoshi is conscientious and responsible. If it were someone else, they would either quit their job or slack off, causing the company to die a slow death. He didn't think Yun Ruoshi was that good before, but now that he has come to his senses, he realizes that there is a female genius by his side. This time I found a treasure. Thinking of this, Su Haochen couldn't help but laugh out loud. As a result, this smile almost scared Yun Ruoshi. Boss Su, I was just talking casually, don't take it seriously. Su Haochen smiled and waved his hands. No, I am happy. Ruoshi, I think I have to apologize to you solemnly. Yun Ruoshi was flattered. Boss Su, what are you doing? Su Haochen said solemnly, without you, the Su group would not have developed so smoothly. But don't worry, when I come back, I won't let you bear such a heavy burden alone. As he spoke, Su Haochen stood up and bowed to Yun Ruoshi. This made Yun Ruoshi a little at a loss. Boss Su, please don't do this. I earn money from the company, so I must do my best to complete the tasks you have entrusted to me. Having said that, a few years ago, Yun Ruoshi really had a lot of opinions about Su Haochen. At that time, although Su Haochen was hailed as a business genius, the Su group was also thriving. Yun Ruoshi came here to work because of this. However, it didn't take long for Su Haochen to be fascinated by Liu Qingyan. All the company's affairs suddenly fell on Yun Ruoshi's shoulders, and Su Haochen turned into a playboy who only had eyes for women. In the eyes of others, Su Haochen is infatuated. But in Yun Ruoshi's opinion, that's just a dog licker. After all, as an employee of the company, she had seen Liu Qingyan speak coldly to Su Haochen more than once. But even so, Su Haochen was still passionate about Liu Qingyan. At the beginning, Yun Ruoshi might have thought that Su Haochen was infatuated, but as time went on, Su Haochen became the object of Yun Ruoshi's contempt. Su Haochen has almost all the spineless, bootlicking, and clinging behaviors that can make people lose face. So she was quite surprised when Su Haochen announced the cancellation of the engagement in front of everyone on the wedding day and severed all ties with Liu Qingyan. I even wondered if Su Haochen would be completely devastated. But who would have known that when he went to work the next day, Su Haochen seemed like a different person. Various orders were issued very decisively, and they were all beneficial to the company. He looked like he was in control of everything, and didn't look like he had just suffered a setback in love. Later, Yun Ruoshi felt that Su Haochen was deliberately using work to numb herself so that she wouldn't have to think about Liu Qingyan. She saw today's conversation and Su Haochen's attitude towards Liu Qingyan. She could see that Su Haochen really had no feelings for Liu Qingyan anymore. He even took advantage of Liu Qingyan's guilt to take over so many promising companies. Absolutely amazing. Su Haochen and Yun Ruoshi spent the entire morning discussing the future of the company. When the two of them were exhausted, they realized that it was already noon and time to get off work. Huh. Su Haochen and Yun Ruoshi breathed a sigh of relief almost at the same time. The emotions that had been suppressed in my heart for a long time were released at this moment. Both Su Haochen and Yun Ruoshi felt that the conversation just now was very enjoyable, just like they had just finished a workout. Especially Yun Ruoshi, who also released a lot of pressure that had accumulated during this period of time. I couldn't help but stretch myself hard. Su Haochen couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Only then did he realize that Yun Ruoshi had such a great figure. Although not as big as Liu Qingyan and Miners, it is well proportioned. If she changed into a dress, she might look much better than Liu Qingyan and Mina. I underestimated her in the past. As if she sensed something was wrong with Su Haochen's gaze, Yun Ruoshi realized that she had exposed herself when she stretched. Her face turned red and she quickly straightened her clothes. Boss Su, it's getting late. It's time for lunch. Su Haochen also came back to his senses and smiled awkwardly. Yes. By the way, seeing that you were so tired just now, I decided to give you a few days off. You should have a good rest. Real. Yun Ruoshi was stunned for a moment, then said with a look of surprise. Of course it's true. I, Su Haochen, always keep my word. Don't worry, it's all paid leave. You can come back to work after you have rested well. Chapter 29: A Rare Vacation. Su Haochen thought Yun Ruoshi would happily agree. But what he didn't expect was that after some struggle, Yun Ruoshi actually shook her head and rejected Su Haochen's kindness. Boss Su, thank you for your concern, but now is a critical moment for the company. How can I give up at this time? Looking at Yun Ruosh's serious expression, Su Haochen knew that she was not just trying to please him. In fact, for Yun Ruoshi, this job was not easy to come by. This is also the main reason why she did not choose to leave despite the high work pressure before. Secondly, Yun Ruoshi is actually a very strong-willed girl. She wants to know how far she can go with her own abilities. It's not that she hasn't worked in other companies before, but she started in storage and was like an assistant to all the employees in the company. One's abilities are not being fully utilized. If she left the Su group, Yun Ruoshi didn't know where she could find such a platform and such a boss. What's more, Yun Ruoshi is a hard-working person. In recent years, Su Haochen has been a hands-off boss, and she has devoted almost all her time to the company. Not to mention falling in love, even going out shopping is a luxury. Although Su Haochen didn't understand this, he also knew that Yun Ruoshi had paid a lot over the years. Don't worry, you don't have to worry about the company's affairs. Moreover, if we want to do a good business, we have to start with the masses. If we don't understand their lives and consumption habits well enough, how can we broaden our business thinking? Yun Ruoshi thought so too, but still felt that work was more important. Well, since you don't want to rest, I'll give you a task. Yun Ruoshi looked at Su Haochen curiously. Boss Su, please tell me. Go shopping with me and inspect the entire market. Yun Ruoshi was a little dumbfounded, but this was indeed a way to observe the market. This is an order. Under Su Haochen's strong request, Yun Ruoshi reluctantly agreed. Looking at Su Haochen, who had changed a lot in front of her, Yun Ruoshi suddenly felt a little dazed. Is this really the Su Haochen who followed Liu Qingyan without caring about anything? It's only been a short time, but the change is so great, it's like he's become a completely different person. What's wrong? Su Haochen looked at Yun Ruoshi curiously. Yun Ruoshi blushed and waved her hands repeatedly. It's nothing, I. Su Haochen smiled and said, if you have something to say, just say it directly. There's no need to hide it. Boss Su, are you really Boss Su? You don't have twin brothers or anything like that, do you? Su Haochen smiled bitterly. What is this girl thinking about? Okay, let's change my schedule and free up a day so we can go out and have a good look. Okay, I'll do it right away. Yun Ruoshi still had some expectations in her heart. Although I went shopping in the name of work, when I think about it carefully, it has been a long time since I last went shopping. Not to mention shopping with the opposite sex. Not to mention that the person accompanying her shopping is the dream lover of thousands of girls in this city, Su Haochen. As she thought about it, Yun Ruoshi felt her cheeks getting hot. The next morning, the two agreed to meet at the city's largest pedestrian street. Today, Yun Ruoshi wore a knee-length floral dress, and she looked like a bright sunflower. Just as Su Haochen had thought before, without the restraint of work clothes, Yun Ruoshi's perfect figure was immediately exposed. There has always been no shortage of beauties around Su Haochen. Before, because of Liu Qingyan, those women were all skeletons. Seeing Yun Ruoshi's outfit today, Su Haochen couldn't help but sigh in his heart that he had given up the entire forest for a big tree. Boss Su, is there anything dirty on my face? Yun Ruoshi's pretty face turned slightly red. Although she came to work today, she was still a little nervous about shopping with Su Haochen. Su Haochen came back to his senses. Oh, no, don't be nervous. Today, as a reward to you, you can choose whatever you want to buy. I'll pay for it. Really? No, that won't work. I have money. Yun Ruoshi waved her hands repeatedly. Just consider it as your hard work compensation over the years, employee benefits. Is it really possible? Certainly. Yun Ruoshi gritted her teeth and said, if you don't take advantage of an opportunity, you're a bastard. Let us go all out today. However, Yun Ruoshi's determination gave Su Haochen a headache. For the same thing, you have to compare it from one store to another. For the same brand, people will compare it with several relatively cheap products. As a result, after shopping for 2 hours, Su Haochen was holding a short skirt that cost less than 200 yuan. If it were Liu Qingyan, she would basically buy all the popular styles of this year. The kind that even several bodyguards can't carry enough. Yun Ruoshi, just buy it. You don't have to save money for me. How can that be possible? Even though you are rich, it is not something that comes from the wind. Besides, if you compare prices from different stores, the next store might be much cheaper. And even for the cheapest items, you can bargain with them, sometimes even get a 50% discount. Su Haochen was stunned for a moment. This was the first time he had seen a girl like this. At least compared to Liu Qingyan, Yun Ruoshi is like another extreme. So after a long selection, Su Haochen had another pair of socks in his hand. For hours, a short skirt and a pair of socks, Su Haochen couldn't help but shake his head and smile bitterly. But looking at Yun Ruoshi, there was a happy smile on her face. For her, perhaps an ordinary skirt and a pair of socks are enough to make her happy for a long time. As for Liu Qingyan, even if he emptied out the entire shopping mall, it would be difficult to get a smile from her. "Boss Su, what's wrong with you?" Yun Ruoshi saw Su Haochen shaking his head and smiling bitterly, and subconsciously thought that she had gone too far. "Nothing, I just thought of something, it has nothing to do with you, let's continue picking." Yun Ruoshi felt embarrassed to continue picking. "I'm a little hungry, why don't we go over there and eat something and take a rest?" Su Haochen felt as if he had been pardoned, so the two of them found a cafe, ordered some desserts and started eating. As they were eating, they heard pleasant music in their ears. Glancing sideways, I saw a children's train appear before my eyes. This small train used for sightseeing is very popular in shopping malls. Basically every child will clamor to sit there after seeing it, so the business is very good. Su Haochen didn't take it seriously at first, but when he looked away, he found that Yun Ruoshi was staring at the train with burning eyes. That expression was very similar to those of children seeing toys. There is no trace of a strong woman at all. The strong contrast caused Su Haochen's heart to be stirred again.